Hello? Hello, hello, hello? Oh, that's gross. This is dirty paper towel. Happy fur day. Fur day. Hi, Serenity. How you doing? How you doing? You good? Down with the sound. Down with the sound. There we go. Sniggle. Wow. 20. That means he's been subbed to you 3 extra months than me? That's okay. I'll forgive you. Guess what? I've got him today. Are you ready for it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. You got your wishes. Make them happen. How you doing, Snig? It's my boy Sniggle. What to do? How's everybody's Friday? Is that okay? You doing alright? How are we? How's my sound and stuff? Sounds and visuals. Wow. It's my dirty mouse pad. So I redid my setup, sort of. It's better, because now you don't see the camera, like, in my face. I've got a little hutch thing going on, and I've got the camera up there. Plus, you can see way more. It's really cool. I like it a lot more. So, there's that. Total system crash. I assume you're talking about a biological system crash and not your computer. What does that mean, Serenity? What happened? You okay? Oh no! Sniggle, what happened? Is work that bad? Oh man.
What is having a system crash?
Dude, it's summer. I'm gonna blame summer like 1,000,000%. I'm so done with summer. Like, you don't even know. It's bad. See? Yeah, it's too hot. That's her thing. Yeah. See, I get you. I get you. Summer's messed up. Especially this year. Usually I can handle summer. Usually it's okay. This year is not that way. Not cool summer. Not cool. It's beautiful outside. Oh, lucky. It's not here. Man, this makes me look so much paler than I am. I mean, I'm pale, but I'm not that pale. Come on. Doodle. Hey, doodling's good. You've been doing a nice bunch of, like, updates here and there, I've seen. Okay. We're gonna be ink washing this bitch. That's what we're gonna be doing. I don't even have my ink. Oh boy. It's one of those days for me, I guess. I didn't even clean off my palette. This is bad. Kind of a mess. Let me see. Let me see. Hey Gabe, you wanna do me a solid? Is that yes?
Yeah.
You wanna come here? Look in this green thingy and tell me if there's a clean one of these in there. It might be under some junk. Hell yeah. Go.
I found some magnets.
Magnets? What are those?
It's, you know those name tags? You know how people have name tags?
Yeah.
It clips like
Wait, are you saying you found these out in the wild like garbage?
I found wild magnets.
Magnemite? You found a wild magnemite?
Yeah, I found that magnemite outside.
Well, good. It's about damn time. That's still okay, Sniggle. I've learned to cool it lately on my posting. It's weird because, when I was trying to gather a following early on, I was really adamant about posting. And if you are trying to gain a following, like through good means, for good reason, not just, to have followers, but, to start your business or whatever, you gotta post a lot, you gotta post often, blah, blah, blah. But I'm at the point where it's like, it doesn't really matter for me anymore. Like, I don't know. Like, it does and it doesn't, but quick thing here. Whenever you've got, I'm using Daniel Smith walnut ink. Da-da-da. Whenever you've got ink, never shake it. Okay? I learned this from someone at the pen show, that you just really lightly do this back and forth a little bit. Never shake it. I forget what they said about shaking versus something else, but...
It's just got a bunch of bubbles.
Yeah, something about bubbles. How it, changes stuff. But anyway, you got the expensive brand. Yeah, get the good shit. Well, I'm kind of a stickler for my, my brown colors, so when I find a good brown color, I keep it.
Which one?
My Daniel Smith ink.
Oh, I don't think the Daniel Smith ink is, mega expensive.
Probably not, because it's not like it's his watercolors.
Yeah.
Is he still alive? Who is Daniel
I
Smith?
highly doubt it.
Where is he? Who is he? Is he
There
all
is
of us?
Somewhere in London.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
Yeah, the watercolors are expensive. That's right. I forgot about that, Sniggle. I'm sorry that your plan was foiled by squirrels. But I'm also happy about it because it makes her a really good story. Out of all the woodland creatures, squirrels are the ones that kind of piss me off. Squirrels and blue jays. Not a fan. Mainly because they harass all the cuter ones. Especially blue jays. Jerks. Okay.
Blue jerks.
Blue jerks. Now I thought about doing a mock-up of this in Photoshop because I was like, do I want the foreground light and the background dark, or do I want the background dark and the foreground light? I think I'm going to do the background light and the foreground dark. And I'm trying to think if I want the mice darker than the wheat. Or the same tone. Maybe have them kind of blend in with it. Hardest part of this for me is going to be actually understanding my own lines. Because it gets crazy right here. And I already screwed up when I was doing the line work. I completely forgot about this part of this wheat stalk. It just wasn't there. Like, I looked at it a couple days later, I'm like, there's no bottom to this one. So I gotta put that in. And just for the record, this is a printout. So the original, is the original in here? Well, I lost the original. No, maybe? I don't know. Where have I put it? No, it's gotta be around here somewhere. Oh, here we go. Is this it? Yeah. Alright. So this is the original. And before I printed it out, I scanned it, and then on cheaper paper, I just selected a little area like right here, and I printed just that little section out to see if it was going to print the same color, the same look, everything. It took me about, I think I threw them away. No! Oh god, they're still here. Okay, here are all my tests. So you can see it was really dark at first compared to what it should have been, right? So then in Photoshop I would, tweak a couple things, whatever, it was too red or it was too yellow. And I eventually got it, I think it was this one, pretty close. So then I was like, okay, because you don't want to print on the final thing you're going to do without knowing how it's going to look, because then you waste, expensive stuff. So the actual printout is on Arches paper, which is like watercolor paper, right? And this was originally on just some crappy Strathmore. But, you know, whatever, right? Someone might actually like, you know, this version, and I don't know, I might still color this just with marker, but I want to do the ink wash because I like that effect. So then I've got a couple originals that I can technically sell. In this one, on the back of this one, it's obviously white, where on that one it's not. So, you know. Oh no, damn squirrels. Arches is pretty good, yeah. Gabe, how would you rate Arches compared to the other watercolor brands?
Top of the line.
I mean, it's kind of, it's 100% cotton. This is the kind I use. I like hot press because it's smooth. I don't like, for a couple reasons. I don't like cold press because it's super textured. Gabe really likes cold press. If I was more into just solely using watercolor, I think it'd be fine. But since I like using colored pencil on it and just kind of mixing media, I like the hot press because colored pencil on the hot press goes over a lot better than on the other one. That snail mouse piece I have, I think I originally did that on cold press, and I remember using pastels on it and colored pencils, and I was frustrated because the pastel would, since it's chalk, it would settle into the little texture crevices of the cold press. And this was obviously after I had done the washes and stuff of the watercolor, and it wasn't my desired effect. So I think depending on what you're gonna do with your piece, there is a strategy to using cold press versus hot. Is there another reason to use cold press other than just strictly watercolor and painting?
Yeah, I mean, if you want texture.
If you want the texture does look cool. So I mean, if you want like it to have an extra effect that maybe you can't produce, then yeah, maybe try that. But
it helps play with the separation of the colors when you're doing it. If
oh,
you
there
want
you go.
More uniform color, then you probably hot press it.
Which that's another thing I really like. I like flats. I like, you know, having a smooth gradient and stuff where he kind of likes the choppy look. So if you like that sort of thing, then, you know, there's that. I have a really bad habit of having my paint and my water and stuff on alternate sides of the piece. And a few times I've accidentally dripped onto my piece because of this. So I'm actually going to move this, I think, over here just to avoid that a little bit better this time around. So there's that. But when I'm doing crappy little things, like all these little, I haven't posted a lot of these yet, but these little watercolors that I was doing for, is it 30 flower challenge? Kind of fell off that, but it's okay. These are actually on Canson, and it's just watercolor Canson paper, and it's a pack of like 50 pages for less than $5 at Walmart. So, and it, you know, it's not crappy paper, it's still decent, but like I wouldn't have done this piece on this, you know. So when you know it's not going to be the greatest thing in the world and you're practicing, then, you know, it's okay to do it that way. Trying to figure out if I want to use this brush. I think I do. Colored microns, they bleed hella bad with Copics. See if I can make that work. Sniggle, you know what you could do? You could get an empty marker and fill it with isopropanol and use that as a blender. And if you just kind of want to use the microns by themselves as the pigment, you could totally just use the blender for that. See, that's cool, Serenity. I didn't even honestly know the difference until a couple years ago, and then it's like, oh yeah, okay. Get it now. Also, I really like the simplicity of Inkwash, just because, first of all, I like just, you know, you guys know me, I like just tones a lot of the time. So, for me, Inkwash is really nice, because I don't have to overthink, and it can be more of a relaxing thing, I guess. So I'm thinking we'll just start with the wheat. I'll just layer. This one I was kind of going to spend some time on, so it might be a little bit of a process, but that's okay. I wanted this one to be an actual print, so we'll get there. But just like watercolor, it's kind of like layering. You guys want to give me your best and worst of your week? Or just best if you want to focus on the positives. Oh yeah, Sniggle, yeah, sometimes you gotta wait. I know Gabe had to do that for a while. Aw, did you see that, Gabe? Serenity called you the best teacher for watercolor ever.
Thank you.
That's very sweet of you, Serenity. I'm glad he could help. It's funny because with me, he doesn't really help. When I'm like, what am I doing wrong with my watercolor? He's like, well, I don't know, it looks pretty good. And I'm like, no, there's something wrong. And he's like, I don't know, what do you think you're doing? I'm like, damn it, Gabe. Come on.
It just sucks because like you're not doing anything bad. It's just that
It's
I think you yourself you don't like the way it looks yet.
right, and I think you were saying that I'm not doing anything wrong, I just need to do it more.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, I get that.
I think it's sort of like when people are artists and there's so many things that are. It's not that it's like wrong. It's like you're just not 100% yet.
I mean, there are things I've obviously got as weaknesses, like one of my first sins early on was just too much water. And I'd drown my paper and my pigment, and I'd be like, why isn't this happening? And then I was also using the wrong color palette, which, like, if you prefer certain colors and you're not working with them, it's really hard to learn anything about color because you're not working with your preferred color set. You know, so when I started, I was actually using, I think, Gabe's colors. And, you know, if you know Gabe's art and you know my art, you know Gabe's colors are way off from what I'm used to. So that was something I had to remedy, you know, obviously. So I've gotten better, but due to a lot of work this month, I was not able to keep up with the 30 flowers challenge, which I'm like, that's okay. I'll still finish them at some point. They just won't be fully in July. But I will sell those too. But they, and since I am selling them and they are practice pieces, you know, I make them cheaper. Because, you know, obviously if I used them for practice, it makes more sense that they'd be cheaper. Because I'm not quite there yet. But anyway, what else? Gabe's gonna be at Gen Con next week. It is next week, right? Next weekend? I'm bummed I didn't get in this year, but at least Gabe will be there, so we've got some kind of representative for our coupling. However you want to look at it. But if anybody's going, go hit up Gabe. He'll be at the Oni Press booth. Oh, really, Sniggle? Gabe's the only one? Wow. It's true, Serenity. We are impatient, aren't we? I'm getting better, though. I'm learning that there is impatience with watercolor, too. I'll let ya. Thank you for the follow. Welcome. I'm learning that you can be impatient and use watercolor. You just have to know what the hell you're doing. Because, I mean, if you want to be one of those people that can just lay down pigment in one stroke and then pull up, that's pretty impatient, you know? So I'm down with that. It's just getting there. You have to have the patience to get to the point of being able to be impatient productively. Which is an interesting way of looking at it if you think about it. I don't know, Sniggle. I think you could actually make it work for you in your style if you used it kind of manically. Like a Jim Food type thing, where it's just splattered a little bit, but like in a meaningful way. Not like the crappy splatter paint. Those are awful. I almost put up a post on Instagram today, like a story, that was like urging people to stop praising artists for interpreting other people's art and characters. And then as I was writing it, I realized it turned into an anti-fan art post, and I was like, damn it, I told myself I wouldn't do this anymore. But at the same time, it's like I was proud of myself for wording it differently than my usual rants and complaints, you know? So, I don't know. I eventually didn't post it, but I don't know. I don't want to be one of those negative artists that's posting a lot about, you know, bad stuff. There's someone I followed recently. They are so ridiculously political, and I had no idea, so I kind of unfollowed them a little bit, you know. But I don't know, it's one of those things, it's like, you gotta be professional, I guess. I gotta come back to my professionalism. But it just, I had one of those moments today where I was mad that, you know, interpreting is so much easier than, and I think the difference was that today I was thinking of other people and how they're getting screwed out of potential praise because, you know, original artists are making 100% of that work, like from their head. Where if you're interpreting, you know, it was a post I saw that someone was just 1-for-1 drawing screen caps, and this person had 40,000 likes on Instagram, and honestly, they weren't even that good. But the post was like, praise this artist for this thing, and I got so mad about it, because I was like, they were literally drawing from the screen cap. Wasn't even a style difference, wasn't even anything. They were just rendering it with pencil.
People are getting
I don't understand.
people are getting praised for being able to achieve that level of being able to copy something.
I guess, but that's not even any kind of level, you know?
So that's the problem, is that it's up to us to educate the people who don't know about art that that's actually like incredibly easily.
Yeah,
like,
but then,
achievable
but
by anyone.
you can't just say that either in comments or like if I did that on my Instagram and I responded to something I saw on Facebook randomly on Instagram, that's going to be handled and perceived differently than if it was in that actual vicinity that I saw it. You know, that context. It's going to be totally different because it's going to look a little bit more like I'm just randomly complaining, you know?
Yeah.
So, and I don't want to be viewed as a complainer, so again, it comes back to, is that professional? So when I get these urges to fight these fights, I've started coming back to, now Ashley, is that professional? And I'll be like, no, and then I'll stop. The only time I would see okay, like, and be okay with talking about it is if someone asked me. If I get asked for my views on it, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna just go, you know, and tell them everything. But I won't do it unless prompted, you know. Yo, Soggy's here. What's up? Oh man, sorry, I gotta catch up in the chat real quick. I get you, Sniggle. Yeah. I saw that, Sagi. Yeah, I actually really like that. I know they're testing it in Canada, I think it was. My lighting's off. It is theft, yeah. So, Sierra, I don't think you've ever been here before. But, don't worry, Sagi. This is the weirdest thing. I haven't even talked about this in months. And all of a sudden it happened today and you're here. 2 seconds. I'm just going to explain it to them and I'll be done. This is the most anti-fan art stream you could ever go to, okay? Just saying. So, I'm just saying for Sagi's purpose, we're going to throw it out there. I've gotten so much better, Sagi. I've gotten so much better. I don't attack people anymore or anything like that. Anyway, so there's this website, Sierra, you can go to that we're all kind of a part of this collective that's against it. Anyway, back to whatever I'm doing here. It was just weird online today. It was just weird. Okay, I was talking about my day. Sagi, how have you been? I saw that Walmart had turned on the heat on a 90-degree day recently, so I want to talk to you about that. How was that?
That is some...
You obviously lived through it.
That's some superstore bullshit.
Yeah, that's messed up.
Bull poo-poo, sorry.
It's okay, Gabe. Gabe's been really bad with his streaming filter lately. Also, if anybody wants to see kind of a funny stream, last week we didn't do any art on Friday, and Gabe and I did a dual stream where we just made a bunch of funny Japanese candy. It was god-awful. It was really gross. And Sagi, I feel like you would appreciate it, because, like I said, it was all gross.
There was also cheese. There's some cheese in it.
There was some cheese in it, yeah.
There's a burger
cheese. One. It was cheese candy. It was really weird. I can't say I would recommend any of them that we ate on the stream. The only good one we had was off stream, and it was donuts. It's pretty good, but it was still weird. But it was good, but it was weird. So that one was fun. We made it and we ate it. It was one of those they're like little kits that, like, some things are jelly, some things are goo, something like it's a little candy kit and you mix it and then you eat it. You know what I'm talking about? Anyway, we thought that the burger one was gonna be candy. Like candy. But it wasn't. They tried to make it taste like meat and cheese and Coca-Cola, and it was really weird. Anyway, we swear a lot in that one. It's a good one. It's fun. Yeah, fan art is fine in moderation. Don't let it define you, and don't sell it ever because it's someone else's stuff. Anyway, go to the website. I try not to go on my rants because I think my longest fan art rant was like 4 hours long. So I won't go there again. That's a dark place for me. Oh, see, Serenity like last stream. I'm glad, Serenity. Oh, God. Sagi, you're in the deli area, right? Back there? They are cool. They're fun, but some are gross. The ones that are trying to be not candy are gross. I didn't like the meat one. It's just weird. But yeah. Like, fan art, we see it as training wheels. And then if you're trying to sell it, it's completely bad. So, anyway. Let's go to this. Has anybody seen any of the Disney remakes lately? Are they bad? Like, Lion King looked like it was going to be bad to me. I feel like if you're one of those people that naysays that stuff publicly, you're going to just get flamed. So it's like I don't even say what I think anymore on the internet because the internet is just... It's weird because that's the place to do it, but I don't want that. I don't want that in my life. Okay, so right now all I'm doing is separating the foreground, middle ground, background with tones. and trying to get them pretty flat, or at least gradate them a bit, which is hard sometimes to follow your own line work. I don't care how long you've been doing this crap, once in a while you won't know what you were doing. And that's just how it is. Hey Jaeger, what's up, man? I agree with you, Sierra. I feel the exact same way. I don't ever want to really see the remake. I don't know. I honestly, instead of remakes, I really wish we'd just have, like, I mean, if there has to be things at all, like if they have to do something related to The Lion King or something like that, have it like, you know, a live action prequel or something. You know, something different, like they're doing with Maleficent. At least with Maleficent, it's the same universe, different time, not a complete retelling, right? Like, I don't want to see Aladdin either. Like, I heard it's the same thing, except they changed a couple things. In Mulan, they're doing the same thing too. It's the same story, but they're taking out and replacing some characters. It's like, at that point, why are you even... What are you doing? What are you doing? You know, it's weird. I don't know. Anime Expo, I met... Hey! Okay, he's a good guy. Yoshiyuki Sadamoto refused to sign any fan art and only official merch. Props to that dude. We'd be that guy.
Who's that?
I don't know. Sniggle, what do you do? How you been, Yeg? Yeah, live action. Right, it's just CG. What are you doing? Did you teach all these lions to do stuff? What did we watch the past 3 days? The past couple days we actually watched more movies than we've watched in months. We watched Shazam, we watched Alita, and we watched Hellboy. Shazam was okay. For a DC movie, though, real good. But as an overall movie...
So far, the best DC movie.
Yeah, I would say if I had to say in the past, like, 10 years, it was probably my favorite DC movie, but that's not saying much in terms of movie.
Though I guess, like, I'm not counting the Batman movies.
Like Chris Nolan's?
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris Nolan's Batmans are good, but is that even 10 years? Wasn't that even longer ago?
I think we looked it up. It was like 2012, 2009 was the first one.
Okay, I guess that is 10 years. I thought those were earlier than 10. Hellboy was bad. Hellboy was bad. I was not happy about that. I was really looking forward to that one.
You know what? With Shazam, it felt like there was two different people making that one.
It really did. If anybody saw the Ghostbusters reboot, I liked it after the first 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. The first 20 minutes feel like they're completely, like, so different written than the rest of the movie. It was so weird. Like, it feels like somebody wrote the first 20 minutes, I'm like, this is horrible. And then after that, it picked up a bit. I was like, okay. But anyway, Hellboy was not good. I was very sad about that. Like, I think we bought it, and I was like, oh, I'll even just, you know, even if it sucks, I'll like it for the visuals. There were literally 2 shots at the end that I was like, these are nice. They're just nice. You know? And then we watched Alita, and at least Alita was pretty good. And it was true to the source material, which was pretty cool. So, there's that. Yeah, Hugo was such a boring character. He was just a vehicle, though. They did the reversal of, you know, the damsel in distress thing, which is typical Cameron. He likes to make his, you know, even though it was directed by Robert Rodriguez, Cameron obviously had a hand in it. But Hugo was boring. He was a vehicle. And I like that it was, I don't know. Actually, I don't like, though, the Born Yesterday thing. They didn't do anything different with that. The Born Yesterday trope of her, like, falling for him. I feel like they could have done something different with that. You know?
Yeah, it was too quick.
It was too quick.
Way too quick.
Well, and she got creepy about it, too.
Yeah.
Which was,
creepy.
it was really creepy. Here, take my heart. Literally, here it is. Take it. Sell it even.
Sell it, yeah.
You can go on vacation in the sky. What? There are a couple things.
But then the whole time, for me at least, she looks exactly like Spongy.
Yeah.
Like, it's really weird.
So Mouse Guard isn't going to get made, and there isn't a Redwall movie. There is a Redwall game that's been being pimped around Instagram on really sad ads. It doesn't look that good. There was a mouse story, though, that was a video game that I think was made for PS4. I think that's even out. I forget what it was called, though. It was like a one-word title. Totally forgot it. But yeah, it seems like all these, animal-centric stories are falling through. Which, I don't know. I'm okay with. As somebody who does strictly animal art, non-anthro, like non-furry art, but just, like Beatrix Potter style, I am so torn on there being a mainstream, like, animal movie type thing. I don't know. Like, I can't tell if that would help my art or if it would hurt it. Because then copycat popularity seekers will just do it to get, the fame. The people that do fan art just to, get the comeuppance. But people like me who have been doing it all our lives, it's like, would I just get then buried? Or would it help bring me to the limelight? I don't know. Honestly, I don't care. I'll still do the same thing, but it's just one of those things you think about when you hear, well, this is being made. Well, okay, is this good or bad for me? As a business, you gotta be looking at that, I guess. Fievel Goes West. That's the sequel, though. The Mouse Guard test footage, though, if you can find that, I was like, this should not be made. This should not be made. Even if those aren't the final models, you shouldn't be using those as an example. I think the footage they showed, it was mainly for architecture and lighting and textures, but I was like, these models, I can't. Like, if you're doing it for just architecture, just show the architecture. Don't show me these really crappy placeholder models. You're going to take me out of this mood,
I don't know why they just didn't try. Well, never mind. I know exactly why. It's the producers and the company.
Usually when that crap happens, it's higher-ups. Like, the same thing with, I guess now there's Lion King stuff that's going around where people have corrected it. So they, took screenshots of the lions now that look realistic, but they gave them the, anime eyes from the Disney movie, and it looks okay. It puts the emotion back in, but people need to stop doing this because, it's entitled, and it's going to ruin the industry, if you think about it. Because look at what happened to Sonic. Yeah, I'm torn on that one, because, yeah, he did look bad. But I kind of think the squeaky wheel shouldn't get the oil in that case, if you know what I mean. Because a lot of the time the artists aren't the ones to blame for that. That was probably an executive's call to make him look like he originally was. They were probably like, no, don't give him the big eyes from the game. Give him the small, realistic eyes. Like, if you've ever worked in a production pipeline, you know that bad decisions are usually the people that aren't artists. And they just have a whim and they just want to put their foot down and use their power. So that can be interesting, For my angry Pip, well, yeah, every month, okay, just because Jaeger's talking about it. So every month on my Patreon, you get a button. You get a... Let me see if I can... Okay, so this is the button. And every month I make a button. And it looks like a little bottle because you technically, like, catch them. You know, they're yours. So you get a button of him. You get this little scroll that you undo or whatever. And it unfolds. And it tells you the story, their lore. And hopefully you can't read this so it doesn't get ruined. So it is a little lore scroll about them. And then you also get these little buffs. I'm really into, like, I don't want to say fortunes and stuff, but I do really appreciate horoscopes. I think they're really fun. Sometimes I take them seriously, sometimes I don't. I don't want to say, like, I'm crazy or anything about them. But I thought it'd be fun, too, if the guardians that you get every month also give you, like, a buff. So it tells you what you get and then kind of how to use it and for that month what you should, you know, focus on, be thankful for, whatever. So that's kind of the mythical monthly guardian kit. And then on the side, as kind of an extra bonus, now I'm going to be offering stickers, prints, and sticker sheets that you get. So every month that changes, that'll rotate. But this month, you get this as a free print if you sign up before August. So little berry bat and his little potion. So you get those things I showed you, you get this, and then you get an extra pin that's like a little fun button. It's silly. Usually it has a stupid message on it. I cut it out of, like, newspapers. I'm going to stop doing that, though, after this month, so this is the last month to get those. But to answer your question, Matt, it will not be an enamel pin. Not so far. Enamel pins are a lot of time and money, and unfortunately I do not have either of those lately. So, plus the clover pip made most sense to me because it's kind of on brand, you know? So, and that one was actually a fun story that I think kind of summed up, I guess, the Guardian in itself. So overall it felt like a good branding move, and then I knew I was going to be doing Journey June with it. So there were too many things that were like, yeah, you should make this pin. Now for the Thistle Pip, probably not. Unless, of course, I eventually, they get a little bit more popular or something, and then I could have like a poll, and I could start turning the buttons into pins after I've, like, you know, had them out for a while. If I get enough people on my Patreon to like them, then yeah, you know, because it's like $6 a month and you get a, you know, basically a little gift bag full of junk. But it's good junk. It's like the only thing I really like doing on my Patreon. It's where I get to have the most fun because I'm writing stories, I'm creating characters. It's great every month. And let's see, I do have international now too, which is nice. So he can, yeah. I don't see why not. Hopefully he doesn't eat them though. God, Soggy, I agree with you. Tacos are drugs. Always. I don't even know if you can really screw up a taco that bad. I'll be honest. I don't know. I never saw Inkheart. That's the one with Brendan Fraser, isn't it? I know that's on a streaming service. I've seen it recently, and I was like, maybe I should try that. I don't know. How'd the Journey June stream go? Do you have a lot of people learning to make books? Yes. Actually, it was really good. Gabe led that one. Basically, we have Gabe do the final publishing class, and then I kind of handle the rest of the month, everything that month. So to me, it feels like a pretty good trade-off. Because I'm better at consistency, he's better at, like, one-shot information, you know, things. So it was really good, though. We did something different this year where we let people watch it at a different time, because we could only do one slot this year. Last year we were able to do 2 different classes. This year we were not able to do that. So, you know, we thought obviously it'd be unfair if they finished Journey June but weren't able to watch the class. So we had to make it where they could watch the class when they found the time. So, the people that were able to make it, I think it was only like 5 or 6, but then if we go back and we actually look, Bruni, go away right now. If we go look at the publishing class, like how many times it's been viewed, it's in the 30s. So I would say we had as many people probably as last year, which it was almost to 40. It's 30 to 40. So, Sierra, thank you for the follow. I don't know why it didn't register, or it didn't tell me right away. I appreciate that. Thank you. Actually, I'm really curious now. I want to see. Also, how have you been, Matt? I haven't talked to you in a while. Oh, shoot.
Bruni.
Go. Go get her a chew. Bruni's up and at him right now, so. I'm gonna check real quick and see what the count is right now. I had the feeling it would probably be spread at some point. It is supposed to be kind of under wraps and unlisted, but yeah, it's got 38 views. So that's about how many people signed up. So that's good. So that means nobody's really spreading it. But if it did get spread, it's okay because it's knowledge. It's just I wanted people to, you know. You're welcome, Sierra. So if anybody's wondering what I'm talking about, Gabe and I run Journey June, which is a monthly challenge, arguably one of the harder ones, if not the hardest, because it's a storytelling challenge. So every day of June, it's a different part of the hero's journey, and at the end of the month, you have a full story. So, you know, depending on what your time is like and how much you actually want to make stories, you'll find out via this challenge if it's right for you. So if you end up wanting to do it any time of year, though, you absolutely can. All the prompts are actually up on the Instagram page, which I would suggest using Instagram because it was our primary platform for it. But you can do it any month that's got, you know, that many days or whatever, if that's easier for you. But we just wanted people to actually start writing stories, especially the people that say they have stories, like, oh, I've got stories, I've got so many characters, blah, blah, blah. Well, you may think you do, but until you start writing stories, you don't. So at least to those of us who actually, you know, make stories and have, you know, backgrounds in comics and stuff, we want you to actually be able to start making stories. To do that, you have to make stories. You have to make stories to be able to make stories. I know it sounds crazy, but so the easiest way to do that was to break it down so they could actually feel what it's like to go through the process of making one, because there is a process to it. And just like your characters in the story itself, you're going to go through your own journey. And I think that's the part that nobody seems to anticipate, is how they're going to feel during that. Because, you know, some people fall off. They're like, wow, this is really hard. Maybe I just want to be an illustrator and not so much a storyteller. Because stories are a huge, huge production, like, time sink. Like, you got to do a lot for a story. So we just wanted to take people through that process. And especially if you've never done one before, you don't know where to start, we take you through all that. We even prep you in May to start understanding what June's going to be like. So we're very, I'd say, catering to those that are just starting. It's basically a free class every June. And next June, we're actually changing it up a little bit. We've done the past 2 years the same way, just to see if there are kinks, you know, because the best way to figure out if something works is to do it a couple times the same way and to see what changes. So we did that. And this year we figured out some stuff that we definitely want to change next year. So next year's will be different. But for now, if you want to just still do it, you can. They're up there. Wow. Well, hopefully he kept it from burning down. Did you at least get paid overtime or anything like that for your trouble? I hope so. Sniggle, how's your work been? You still here? I guess your salary then? Yeah? Well, so the next con I'm gonna be at is Dragon Con. Early September. So, that show's always a fun one. Oh, that sounds great, Jaeger. I hope you can find time to rest, you know? Make time for it, you know what I mean? What state? We are in Illinois. But we travel around the country doing cons throughout the year. So Gabe will actually be at New York Comic Con too. Gabe is actually a professional comic artist, so he works for like Oni Press and he's done work for Marvel and DC, but he'll be at New York. We used to go to every con together, but then we got pups, so now someone's always at home with the pups, and then we split up the conventions just to make it easier. So one of us will always usually be at one. Hi, Scoundrel. How are you? That's true, yeah, you're right. Ever Serenity? Like ever in my whole convention circuiting? Or just this year? Ever? Gen Con last year. It was amazing. I honestly never thought I would be able to make as much money as I did at that con, freelance in my whole life, even at one convention. It was amazing. I'm so sad that I didn't get in this year. I'm trying not to let it bother me, but let's hope I get in next year, because I can't even, like, I beat one of our more popular artists in the group too, and I never thought I'd be able to do that, so that was kind of my shining moment, I think, for last year. It was pretty amazing. I've been good. I've been busy, Scoundrel. Pretty busy. That was a good con too. C2E2 is usually a good con. But like Gen Con, that demographic was so mine. Just 100% everything that, you know, I do, these people enjoyed. And it was really cool to be able to talk to them about it and just make people happy with it. It was just such an alignment. It was so cool. Yeah, Gen Con is totally my market. It just sucks because I feel like, and this is just me spitballing and speculating, but I feel like I didn't get in this year because maybe my stuff is a little too kitschy. And once they saw me in person last year and that I dress up as an elf and that my booth is a tree, that they were probably like, oh, this isn't as, I guess, refined or professional as, you know, they wanted the art show to be. Because the art show is very much I don't want to say professional because I see myself as professional, but a more fine art zone, you know, more oil paintings and Magic the Gathering cards and just Wizards of the Coast type art, you know, where I'm over here doing, you know, pet portraits and tiny mice and things like that. So I feel like after they saw that and after I applied this time around, maybe they were a no about it, and I guess I'll find out next year for sure if I apply and don't get in again. But I feel like, you know, their standards are pretty high, and maybe I just, after seeing me, I just didn't fit them. Because it's very much like Spectrum. If anybody's familiar with Spectrum, a lot of the same artists kind of bleed into there. So that's just me trying to figure out why I didn't get in. It could have just been that the judges this year didn't like my stuff, and that's totally fine. Because every year they switch judges. So, which is kind of a nice thing, because then you don't get, you know, nepotism really, or, you know, as much as you could, I guess. Can still happen, but... Thank you, Scoundrel. The pup is good. We got 2 more. So we have 3 dogs now, so it happens. Yeah, the Spectrum books are good, but honestly, after I went to Spectrum and I had a booth there, and I met a lot of the artists and stuff, and they are extremely skilled. And I like to say skilled instead of talented, because I feel like talented is saying that they were, you know, given this gift from God and they didn't work for it. I like telling artists they're skilled, because, you know, it kind of implies that they worked for it. But after I met all these people, I really felt like my art didn't fit in. And, you know, it wasn't really my place to be, I guess, because, yeah, they were, you know, they're really good, but a lot of them, I don't want to say their art looks the same, but it's almost the same caliber, you know, or they use similar techniques or something, stuff that I don't really use or partake in, you know.
I feel it's almost like going to a comic, like comic people, like Marvel and DC artists, like they all sort of, they have that genre.
Yeah, like you can tell a comic artist, you know, it's similar to that, where you can kind of identify that type of artist. So I feel like it's similar to that. I got over the Spectrum look after a while because I feel like once you've seen a lot of it, and when your friends are kind of a part of that, you almost get too exposed to it. And I don't want to say I didn't lose respect for it, but I lost the love of it because it all started blending together in my head. And because of that, and everything's so polished, and, you know, there are all these colors and all this depth and beauty, it's like I started seeking out more weird art, you know, once I got to that point. Because I feel like a lot of people that, you know about it or are aspiring to be artists, they go straight to Imagine FX or Spectrum or IAX, you know. And I think once you get really exposed to that and you get into the actual circle, I guess, once you're there, you're like, okay, I get it. And then, you know, yeah, it's like meeting your heroes sort of thing, I think. I think it's similar to that, where it's like you then crave something different, you know? But yeah, Sierra, similar. Very, yeah, you get it. It's just, I feel, I don't know, man. I'm bored. I think that's it. I'm bored. So I seek out a lot of people that honestly are more storytellers, like myself and Gabe. Gabe and I see ourselves more as storytellers than illustrators. I mean, some people think they're interchangeable. We don't. Gabe and I actually write stories. We self-publish books. So our stuff leans more towards a storyteller than an illustrator. We don't just solely do prints. If I do a print or something, it's because it feels like it's strong enough to have a story on its own. So like this one, I respect this piece. I think it's cute. I think it's got a lot of emotion to it. I don't know. I like it enough to say, well, I'm going to make this a print and see what happens. That's the other thing. You got to kind of just see what happens when it comes to this sort of thing. Because even if you love a piece you've done to death, putting it on the internet, whole different story. Because something you love, other people might not care about. And that's something you kind of have to disassociate with, you know? And also, part of getting over fear of posting is to just post everything. Post things you like, post things you don't like. Because something you post that you don't like, someone else could love it to death, you know? And I think that's one of the most precious things I've learned doing just internet over like a decade of art, and learning to just get over how you feel about your painting, get over how you feel about anything you're doing. Even if you like it, you know that when you post it, you might not get any likes, and that's not what it's about anyway, you know? I really think Instagram and just social media in general has really screwed over the art community. Because a lot of us are very emotionally and mentally susceptible to, critique, and I mean, it's what we're built on, emotion, right? So that if you get this thing that it's emotionally like draining for people because they invest so much into it, you know, and these people are emotionally, I don't want to say unstable, but emotionally charged most of their time anyway, it's going to have adverse effects most of the time because they're going to take things further than regular people would in terms of like, well, do they like this? Do they hate this? So being an artist nowadays, you really have to discern what's real and what's not, what's, you know, what are just numbers, right? Instagram's just numbers. It doesn't define your value. It doesn't define if, you know, this, that, or the other thing. It can help give you an analytical look. So when you do this sort of thing, you have to look, okay, well, this piece got 200 more likes than this piece, but I normally get this many likes, so maybe that means this might be a good print, and then just try it. That's the other thing, is just trying things. So, like, let's say this piece got more likes than usual. I'd be like, all right, that's a decent contender to try, you know? And maybe it does or doesn't work. It doesn't matter. You have to try, you know? And even if something doesn't get many likes, if you believe in it, go for it. It's like you have to try it and then bring it to conventions. Because the other thing is, if you're just trying it and putting it on the internet, there's no guarantee anything's going to happen. The internet and selling things on the internet as an artist is very, very difficult. Like, insanely difficult. Unless you've got over 50,000 followers or something. It's extremely difficult. Because I can't just put up a thing and be like, all right, first 10 people will get this, blah, blah, blah. No, nothing happens. I'm not big enough to where anything happens. You would hope, something would sell out or, you'd get those orders right away, but that's not how it works. So you have to be realistic with a lot of your marketing and, how you go about your advertising and things. And really, being somewhere in person never, is always better than just the internet. You're doing more than just the average couch artist, So if you can go out and go to these things or go to events, meeting people gets you more interaction, follows, what have you, than anything else. Oh, bye, Yag. Thanks for coming, man. I don't avoid uploading anything. Honestly, I mean, if you look at, last month's stuff, here, I'll bring it up. Just as a case in point, since Gabe and I run Journey June, we're basically, I feel entitled to partake in it ourselves, right? So, honey, what's wrong? Are you just lonely? Her eyes are juicing. You want to wipe them real quick? So my usual stuff, can be like this, right? Typically like this, kind of what you're seeing now, right? Stuff like that. There's watercolor pieces I put up when I'm dabbling in watercolor. This is a digital piece, put that up. These are my pet portraits. I've got those on there. But for all of June, first of all, this was Mermaid. Mermaid's going to be a coloring book that I still have to do before the next con. But this was the level of quality, I guess, for my story in June. Which this is the quality we tell people to actually do the stories in. We don't want you to make full illustrations. We don't want you to do anything near that. We want you to do thumbnails of your story so you can concentrate on the actual story itself and not how it looks yet, because it's still a first draft. Just as artists, instead of writing out a first draft, a lot of us see it, so this is a way to do it where you're not writing like an outline or anything like that. So a lot of, and it kind of sticks out like a sore thumb when I put in renders, but this was that whole month. And, there are artists that don't have many followers and stuff who are more afraid to post things like that than me. And it's like, I've got a lot more to lose than you, but I'm doing it. You shouldn't care. You have to, take yourself out of caring as much as possible about that stuff, And, if they want to leave you because of that, that's on them. Your Instagram is your sketchbook. It's not your portfolio. Your portfolio should be your website. Your sketchbook is your Instagram. Okay? And once you remember that, it should be easy because you're putting your stuff out there for people to see as much as possible. Instagram is about getting in front of people's eyes as much as you can. If you want to, apply for a job, you make a portfolio website. You don't use your Instagram. No. That's not what it's for. The Instagram should be used, if anything, to show that you're always creating. So when I was hiring people at the game company I used to work at, I would use Instagram to see how often they were creating, and I would look at their portfolio to see what they thought was their best work. Which, a portfolio should only be like 10 to 20 images at most. It should not be more than that, right? So your Instagram is a terrible thing to send someone that they're trying to assess your portfolio and your work because it's not in any sort of, quality order. If you have your own portfolio on a website, you have full control over what people see first, second, third, whatever. Instagram is just to show, hey, I do stuff often. If I saw somebody that did something every couple of months, I'd be like, I don't know, and I wouldn't probably even follow them on my personal account. Even if they're good, I'd be like, well, I want to see you actually creating stuff. So Instagram to me is to prove that you're always creating. And a portfolio website is to show what you've created that's your best work. Anyway. I just feel like on a platform that's meant to literally bury your posts, it should be a lot of things you send off to kind of die, which are sketches and, passing thoughts and things. What's been cool, though, is that the things I've done in the past that were like concepts or anything, and it, now they're becoming a thing or anything like that, I can be like, yo, I was into mushrooms before mushrooms started trending, man. You can go back and look. Or another cool thing is documenting a journey, right? Or a series, because hashtags are wonderful, right? So I started markers probably 2012. That's a total ballpark guess. But I started markering in 2012, And I basically have my entire marker journey on my Instagram. And I think that's really cool. Like, I started doing, this is my first post using markers. I just want to document it, blah, blah, blah. And now I'm really glad I did. Because I can tell people, that are either struggling with marker, or they don't want to post their stuff, hey, post your stuff. You'll be happy you did. You can see how far you've come. It's pretty cool. So if anything, like I said, it's a proving ground. It's to show what you've done, what you've established before anything else, which I think it's cool. If nothing else, it's just for you. That's the other thing I tell people too. You're posting for you. If other people like it, cool. Otherwise, it's just you posting, for your record. I mean, that's kind of how you should just think about art in general. You're making it for you, and if people like it, cool. If they don't, whatever. You like it, right? That's all that matters. That's art. The most un-art artist I can think of is somebody that's doing it either for the likes or the popularity. Another thing I wanted to rant about the other day was Rutger Hauer died, right? He played a character in Blade Runner. And Gabe was so right when he said, uh-oh, here comes the fan art, right? I hate this. When someone dies, there are some artists that try to capitalize on their death. It happened with Robin Williams, it happened with David Bowie, it happened with Prince, most notably. And it sucked because I was going to a lot of conventions at the time, and at every con I would see someone selling a portrait or something they did of either Robin Williams or David Bowie. And I'm like, you don't even realize that you're capitalizing on their death. Like, that's such another level of bad to me. Like, it's one thing to just do it online and to try to get likes from it and hashtag them, but that's bad too, but the extra bad is trying to sell it. And it bothers me. And I think a lot of people don't even realize that, fan art is illegal. The consumers are part of the problem. So I like to tell them when I'm at cons too, hey, this isn't okay. You're helping them steal. And people are always like, what? Oh my God. So knowledge ended up being the problem. But I just hate anybody that's taking advantage of a bad situation. So with the deaths, celebrity deaths, that always pisses me off. I will instantly unfollow somebody for that. There's a lot of things I've started to just unfollow for, just because I can't believe some people do these things. Or I've also started to try to teach, if you're inspired by something and you have the urge to do fan art of it, instead of doing fan art, take that urge, boil it down, like concentrate it, and figure out what it is about that thing that made you want to do that. And usually it ends up being an aesthetic or a color even, something like that, and then take that and apply it to something else that's original, right? So an example is I actually got my first urge to do fan art that I had in years because I'm so against it when I watched Sabrina, right? The new Sabrina. There's this one shot that I was like, man, I want to draw that. But I knew that I wasn't going to do fan art, so I figured out how to take that want to do that and to turn it into something else. And if I showed you the picture that it ended up being, you wouldn't have even correlated the two. Like, they're not even similar in any way. But I was able to take that energy and put it into something I can actually use, actually sell, and feel really good about it. It's pretty cool. So I've been trying to teach people more about that you shouldn't be doing that. You've got an urge right now. You need to control it. It's inspiration, right? That's what it is. That's the good part of it. You're being inspired. That's really cool. But you have to use it appropriately, Also, I'm getting to the point where I just want to make YouTube videos of these things that I'm talking about. Because really, I would just want people to know more about it, and I feel like YouTube's an easier way to spread that. Plus, I have little tips and tricks regarding art that I think people could learn in like 30 seconds. So I was gonna call them like clover clips or something. We can learn how to do a braid 30 seconds. Because, I mean, that's the age we live in, too. Like, I need to know it now. I need to consume it now. It has to be quick. Gabe and I were watching a movie the other day that's kind of old, and we couldn't believe the amount of, like, pausing there was in it. And it's one of those things where it's like, that's just a sign of the time, you know, that there are no pauses left in movies, really. Everything's just, you know, quick, quick, quick. Pockets of Star Trek. Oh no. Good. I'm proud of you. That was really classy to, like, take them down. I'm really, really happy you did that. Thank you. See, I think that's more in his memory than anything. You know, that you wouldn't want to make money off him or his property that you love so much. And that's the backwards thing. You know, that people are like, oh, I'm making fan art, you know, because I love this thing. It's like, well, why don't you realize you're actually stealing from it? You know, give it away for free if you love it. So anyway. That's why we have the website, because I will go on for hours about this and I should not. But some people don't even feel that grossness, which is the weird thing. Okay, I gotta go to the bathroom real quick. I will be back shortly. Okay, hello. Hello. Ah. See, Soggy ended up leaving. I knew he would. I think it's because I talked about fan art too much. He hates that. But it's truth. It's truth. Gotta speak your truth. It's just, is money so worth sacrificing your integrity? Not to me, man. Not to me. This one needs to be a little bit darker. Oh, really cute. Like his name is actually Deckard. That's crazy. I just hope nobody falls for those kind of people that are doing, you know, I mean, rest in peace, Rutger Hauer, and like they do a fan art piece. It's like, okay, even if you have the best intention with that, it's not gonna come through. It's gonna look like you're, you know, just trying to get the likes. What? Huh? They are? Oh, good. Our little dog, we recently adopted one of them. He kind of is at odds with our bulldog. So when they actually play together, we get happy about it.
They're running around.
Yeah.
They're running around
the bed. Little tent thing. Bruni's so slow. It's like you never know how slow she is until you see her with a little dog. I know they do snuggle. Ugh. Oh, that's cool, Scoundrel. I love it.
Oh, now she jumped on the thing.
Bruni did?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I suppose Chancho can't. Little dogs are bullets. That's a good way to put it, Serenity. Except for poor little Butters. Butters is a soft little pillow baby. She can't ever get mad. Sad, because sometimes I think I see her zone out and get some PTSD or something, where she's not here, you know? Gabe, do you have music playing? Why? Why would you have that on when I'm streaming, Boo?
I didn't realize that.
Look at this inconsiderate guy. Just my dog gun. That'd be a good name for a comic. Dog gun. Damn, I like that. That's cool. Who's winning, Gabe? Typically it's not Bruni. Oh my god. You guys take it outside.
You okay, Joe? You okay? You okay?
Offer him water. He's really bad at drinking it. I actually really like that dog gun. That's so cool, Sniggle. Try to get the other ones back out.
I don't think he wants to go outside. Well, maybe if you were such a lush.
I'm gonna have to bring in a black ink too. God, this paper's dope.
Using the arches.
Yeah. So smooth. Is that Bruni? Tell her to get some water.
I'm trying.
She's probably dumb and forgot. Yeah, that's what I thought too, Sniggle. I was like, that sounds like a Gabe comic. And that's what it sounds like. Gabe, you need to make a comic called Dog Gun.
Dog gun?
Yeah.
Like doggone?
No, like Dog Gun, like a gun that's a dog. Because
But-
Serenity had said little dogs are like bullets.
Oh.
And then Sniggle said, this is just my dog gun. I was like, whoa.
Doggone gun?
I mean, it could definitely be a Western comic. Because of the doggone.
Mm-hmm.
But, I don't know, just dog gun. Sounds cool. But Gabe has to illustrate it. That's fair. He's more up your alley than mine anyway. It is funny when Gabe and I get certain people coming to us for commissions. Like, I mean, obviously we can't take offense to it or anything that, like, somebody, you know, likes his style over mine or, you know, vice versa. Like, I just did a commission for a friend that they wanted stuffed animals of their, you know, their girlfriend's stuffed animals in a little scene. Which, by the way, I ended up making an Etsy listing for that sort of thing specifically, because I really like doing it. But it's like, they're not going to go to Gabe for that, you know? Gabe can't make cute like I can. But then I can't do gritty like Gabe can. So, that's where it's good to, you know, play on somebody's strengths. Yep, right, Serenity? We would totally give you guys, like, credit. We always believe in crediting people. I think one of the worst travesties in the world is when more popular artists take credit from lesser artists instead of attributing. That bothers me more than anything else in the world, I think. Bye, scoundrel! Have a good day. In memory of Rutger Hauer. Oh. Here, let's change this. One of my other sins that I'm trying to get better at is I never change my brush. Like, I just always try to use the same brush that I started with, which means, like, if I've got little detail bits, I'm trying to do it with a giant flipping brush. So, now I'm trying to get better at that. Being cognizant of, hey, this is a smaller area. Use a smaller brush, dummy. So I'm doing that. So Sniggle, you don't work tonight? Or do you? What?
You ever played Bonk's Revenge?
Who?
Bonk?
Bonk? No.
Yeah, he's like this little prehistoric dude. Alright.
Okay, hold on. Okay.
Alright, so he's a little prehistoric dude. He
Aw.
uses his head. Right?
Oh.
But wait, what's this?
Oh, he bites walls?
Yeah, to climb.
Oh. When was that made?
Ages ago.
That's really good.
Yeah, right.
For ages ago? It's crazy.
I mean, I think it was on like TurboGrafx first.
Wow. What are you gonna eat for dinner?
I don't know, man.
I'm hungry right now, dude.
Listen, I don't want to bring this up.
It's a be pizza, isn't it? God damn it.
No.
Oh.
I got a free Jimmy John's sandwich.
We just had that.
I know, I'm just saying, for future reference.
Hmm. I thought you were a bunch of pizza.
But, you know, I'm always about pizza.
Dude, pizza sounds amazing. The only thing is, if we ever get pizza, I feel like we have to like say, oh, it's a work night, and it's like we're getting pizza at work, you know, to kind of make it worse somehow, so we're not having an overly good day, you know, one of those type of things. Which I have a lot of work to do tonight if I want to get my Patreon stuff out tomorrow.
You guys got a lot of work to do. Hey, you guys.
So, I'll be a little bit transparent here. One of the times that marketing comes in handy, or using Facebook or Instagram ads, stuff like that, is things like, you know, my Patreon. Like today, I really want people, like more than anything lately, I've been wanting people to take more note of my $6 tier. Because like I've said in the past, that's my favorite thing I do on Patreon. And if I could get a lot of people on that, I think it'd be really cool. Because it's, you know, it's like a story subscription. And, you know, subscriptions are in right now for whatever reason. But it's one I really want to do. And I'd love if I could make more money doing it. So I get kind of tired of spamming my Instagram people. Because I do get to a point of spamming. It's... You know, it's one thing to do it, you know, once or twice or whatever, but I've been doing it a lot, admittedly, I feel. But, you know, when you want it, you go for it. So I also got, I think I put like $20 in to Facebook marketing recently, which has worked great for us in the past. So we like to at least save up a little bit for when we've got campaigns in mind that we can do these sorts of things for. And I figure since I'm at the end of July, which is like, you know, you have to sign up before the end of July, so there's actually a time limit on this. And this is the only time I'm offering like a free print with everything. You know, it seemed like a perfect time to actually utilize that again. So I called on the powers of, you know, marketing to do that. It seems to be working. I got a couple people that have signed on, so I'm at least over 200 again, which means everybody wins, and I get to send out digital rewards to even people on the $1 tier. Because remember, if you like an artist and they have a Patreon and you can't do anything on, you know, any of their major tiers, at least sub to them for $1, because, you know, you get 100 people that are doing $1, that's $100, and like for me, all my $1 people get digital rewards. So at least you're getting something, you know? So there's that. So if you know anybody who does have a Patreon, support him at least with $1. Because, you know, if you've got a friend or something that's doing it, like all of our friends in our group each support each other for $1. Because then at least we're cross-promoting each other through, you know, well, this person's supporting this person, blah, blah, blah. There's that, but also, you know, you're just supporting them. And it's fun. Okay, I think I might try the white ink now. Let's bring out the white ink. I haven't gotten to use this on really nice paper yet, so I'm kind of excited. Midway through your 3-day weekend, do you ever have a goal for a 3-day weekend or just a weekend in general? Like, by the end of this weekend, I want to accomplish blah. Like, do you have anything you want to accomplish this weekend, Snag, or what are you thinking? Oh man, who's making sloppy noises? Chancho!
Chancho.
You eating something? We gave you flea stuff. You shouldn't have fleas. Fleas.
Well, I mean, it tastes.
No, I have a feeling they're not fleas, probably. They're just probably itches or mosquito bites. I got a loose schedule. I gotcha. Was it him?
Butters.
God, sometimes both her and him sound like little cavemen. You know?
Yeah. Aren't they the cure as birds?
Is Bruni sleeping?
Yep.
Good. Oh, Serenity, you should just for $1. I'll support you. I'm telling you, that dollar thing is the best trick I feel like any artist should be doing. Because like I said, if you don't even want to do rewards or anything like that, just even having that dollar tier can make you money. It's crazy. Like, Gabe and I will support you, Serenity.
We always support those who support us
Well, or just people we believe in.
to an extent.
No, I will always support somebody I believe in.
What I mean is, like, what we do is on Patreon, like, if one of our, it's like a thing amongst the.
I already explained this.
Okay.
You were right here. But I stand by saying I will always support people I believe in, whether or not, you know, they're supporting me. If I believe in them, I want them to succeed.
Oh, yeah.
Serenity, you'll at least have 2 patrons, and I bet you if you go into your guild wars stuff and you say, hey, you know, I've got a Patreon helping me at $1 every month would just, you know, blah blah blah, especially since you've done so much for that community. If they don't, they're assholes. Like, I'm just gonna say that because you have done so much for them. So I would try that, see what happens. Why not? I think the hardest thing for people is usually just taking that leap and trying to put themselves out there. It's not so much actually making it or doing the work. They just don't want to look money hungry. Where there is a difference between, and take note of this, anybody who's trying to be a professional artist, there's a difference between looking money hungry and just letting people be aware of something. Okay? Telling people, hey, this exists, is totally different than being like, please buy my book, I need this for this reason, or blah blah blah, you know, please, pleading, begging, all that stuff. Totally different than just letting someone know, hey, this exists. Okay? Same thing with spamming. A lot of people think they're spamming their people. I will bet you 9 out of 10 times you are not actually spamming anyone, and maybe a third of the people you think you're getting to, you're not, you know, that sort of thing. And plus it's better to over spam than under spam. Okay? Like I'm saying, it's about awareness, and as far as the internet goes, if you're a small-time artist, you have to try extra hard to even get seen. And a lot of the time that means spamming or paying for ads, stuff like that. Especially if you have an art style or content that not everybody's into, like me. I came to terms with the fact that I have, you know, content that not everybody is into. Not everybody likes hugging mice, you know? I get it. Because there's stuff I'm not into that's popular, and I get that. Like, I don't like the pretty girls or human, this, that, or the other thing, and, you know, all that crud. I'm not into it. So if somebody doesn't like my stuff, I get it. We all have preferences, right? You can't take offense to that. But, like I said, making someone aware or spamming or just, you know, that's why it's cool that you get to, for the ad setups, you actually get to say, well, people, like in my case, people that like Secret of Nim or Labyrinth or, you know, Redwall, show them my stuff because they, you know, it aligns with what they like. It makes sense. You know, being smart about your demographic is part of being, you know, a good marketer for yourself.
don't even know the hand. Judge.
So, Queen Kit Kat. The key to Patreon is starting small and then moving up. So, I'd say start at the $1 tier, and depending on how many people you get there and how much free time you have and how good of ideas you have to make something for people, then do digital rewards. Okay, try those out. Don't do physical rewards right away. It's the biggest mistake I feel like people make with Patreon. Work up to that. Otherwise, you're going to be reducing. So, start off, see how it goes, do the next thing, digital rewards, see how that goes. And maybe you start, let's say best case scenario, you start making a lot of money just off your digital rewards. Then you can pull back on, if you've got like a part-time job, maybe you pull back hours on that to focus more on your art. And then at that point, you have enough time and ideally enough money to start doing physical rewards. And then you get that momentum going and you've kind of made your way into being able to do that. But like I said, you cannot do that right away. I know people who even start off doing postcards, and it was too much too soon, right? They aren't even well known, right? It can be too much even if it's just a couple people. You'd be surprised. So, doing digital rewards, I'd say once you get enough people who understand you have a Patreon and that you want to work up to it, if you know how to do digital rewards and stuff, or what have you. So my thing is, if you look at my Patreon here as an example, don't feel like I'm forcing you to do anything. You go there and you look at my goal. My goal is, if I'm making at least $200 a month, I will give digital rewards to everyone, right? Which digital rewards are like computer, phone backgrounds, all those type of things that are just like basically a catered image for a specific thing, right? Or like coloring book pages too that people can print out. I'll probably do that too. So just things that are sent digitally, right? So that's only though if I'm making that much a month. So Kit Kat, if you wanted to do that and have just a $1 tier first, and then just have a goal like that feels doable for you, like if you're making, I don't know, $50 to $100 a month, let's say, maybe that's a lot. If you could do it with just like 20 or 25, that'd be ideal, and then start doing digital rewards for people. Oh shoot, that was part of this one. I can fix that. It's not a big deal. But the worst mistake you can make is being like, I'm going to do this physical reward, and I'm going to have another tier, and I have this physical reward, so I'm going to be doing like, postcards and prints and stickers. Do not do that. You will fail. And one of the other things is that I think people like overestimate their time. Like they think they've got more than they do, but they don't take into account like shipping and how long does it take to actually put together 20 packages. It takes a lot of time. So knowing that kind of stuff is important. Bernie, what?
Bernie's sitting here like
I know, and Butters can't get out.
You can't block the way, Snorlax.
Yeah, and there shouldn't be guilt about it unless, and I get on artists about this, like if an artist is pleading, and unless you've got like, you're in a dire situation, like you've got cancer or something and you're trying to, or like, you're trying to raise money for a friend who's got a problem, that's different. But if you're just doing it like because you want follows, or please spread my stuff, I just need a couple more follows, or that person has to rearrange their priorities, because that's a bit messed up. So your game is visible immediately. Can you hide it? Well, technically, Serenity, I mean, unless people are looking for it, it is hidden. If you think about it, like, no one's constantly searching, oh, does Serenity have a Patreon yet? Is it up? Is it up? Like, nobody's doing that. hate to break your bubble, but nobody's doing that right now. So technically it's hidden until you say, hey, I've got this up here now, So I wouldn't worry too much about that. It's not like a Kickstarter, though. I mean, Kickstarter does that where it's like, until you're ready to actually, make it live, they make it so it's hidden, obviously, because you got to work on a lot of the, stuff that's around the edges and things. Oh yeah, Serenity, totally mess around with it. And as a helpful hint for those of you who are international, if you do want to offer international, just make sure on your tier that you say you're going to do it every couple months. And if it is a physical reward, but like I said, don't do physical rewards right away if you're new to Patreon, okay? That's a big, big no-no. But once you've been on there for a while, so international, depending on what you're sending, can be, like $10, $20. So the way you can do that is to have people technically saving up for their shipping without them kind of knowing. So I changed my international Curious Collector to be $10 a month. So, and then it ships every 3 months. So by the end of the 3 months, they've actually paid for their shipping through that. So it's not like they pay an extra 10. They've already paid for their shipping. So it's kind of cool. And I feel like it's nice to offer international at least. I think that's something that a lot of Patreon people aren't really doing. Because maybe they haven't figured that out. But hey Wade, what's up? How you doing, man? You excited for Gen Con? You and Gabe gonna party? I think it's funny, you're gonna see him at Gen Con and then you're gonna see me at Dragon Con. At least if I remember it, you're going to Dragon Con. That'll be hilarious. That's okay, Serenity. It takes a long time. It's like a total grind to get used to it. Social media is not an easy curve to learn. Like, I still have friends that are on Blogspot, and they're like, why am I not getting more popular? I'm like, are you kidding me right now? First of all, destroy your Blogspot, and then you'll start figuring out, how you have to actually put yourself out there. Because I don't, like, who's using Blogspot?
Right.
Like, what are you doing? Oh my god. I just blurped on my page. Oh no. That was a giant gob, too. Hold up. Panic! Luckily it was white. So. Already gone. Haha. Crisis averted. Like, I always forget to post, hey, I'm streaming to Twitter. And honestly, Twitter is one of the best platforms for streamers. And I always forget to put it there. What is a blogspot? It's closer to a live journal or a WordPress or a Zanga.
Did you say live journal?
Yeah. Yeah, it's more of like almost a journaling platform than an actual, it's like a blog. It's what blogs originally were.
Who blogs?
I have, like I said, a couple friends who just use it as their art page. It's like, what are you doing? And then they don't use actual hashtags when they're using like Instagram and stuff, or they use dumb ones. Like, if you don't know how to hashtag, you need to figure out, get your life in order, get your house in order. You don't know what you're doing. Because it's like they don't understand that hashtags put your art in a certain area on the internet. They think that it's just, you're making, like, it's like if parents used hashtags. My friends are doing this, like, older friends that don't really do art very often, but they're, like, trying to get with it. But they're using hashtags in the weirdest way, like, I'm even trying to think of one.
Well, I was going to say, it's like you're talking about, like, going to the DMV, and then you just hashtag Donut Club or something. It's like, why did you do that?
No, not even that. It's like, It's like hashtags that don't exist, but they're like sentences.
Oh, like a full sentence?
Like a sentence, like they're hashtagging a sentence.
Going to the DMV.
Yes! Stuff like that. Like they wouldn't hashtag DMV. They would hashtag going to the DMV. And it's like, what are you doing? Stop it. So, at least Serenity, you're better than that. I know you're better than that.
Or like a hashtag with an apostrophe.
No, Serenity, if anything, you're newer than last century. Zanga was when I was like in high school. MySpace, Zanga, LiveJournal, those are all super old. Okay.
You know what's crazy is I don't even know what Zanga is, so that was a very...
Zanga was the cool LiveJournal.
That's like a very
I had a Zanga.
specific thing, because LiveJournal, yeah.
Like I would complain about my boyfriends on my Zanga. Okay? If you look it up, it's Xanga, Zanga. Yes, Sniggle, watching some girl paint mice. Yes. Oh my god. See, you get it. You know, that's what they would hashtag. I'm like, what are you doing?
At 4 p.m.
Yeah. Oh my god, yes, that too. I'm not even kidding. These are all real. These are all real. I've seen people actually hashtag sentences. Like, what are you doing? I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. A bad version of Tumblr. No. So, back in the day, if anything, I would say MySpace was the early version of Tumblr because you could reblog stuff in a sense. So back in the day, nothing was rebloggable. Okay, so if you had a LiveJournal or anything like that, it's not like you could go on someone's thing that had pictures up and just, reblog it. You couldn't do that. Like, reblogging wasn't a thing. You would literally have to save the picture and, put it up on your journal. And it was a journal. It was just like, word processing on the internet.
Well, heaven forbid if you did a link of somebody's thing
and didn't credit them.
Yeah, or then it broke, or they decided to delete the image and then
just
have broken links.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that actually happened to my Blogspot. Actually, if you go to my Blogspot, since I changed my name from Hardshell Art to Cloverkin, right? So on my Blogspot, all my old things that were tagged, the images that were tagged with that, where I just copied the hyperlink and put it in, they're all broken. So it doesn't even work anymore. And I'm not going to go back through and relink all those. Hell no. Not worth it. So that's how it used to be. Yeah, people still use Tumblr. Tumblr's still cool, in a sense. Like, you can do a lot with Tumblr. It's still relevant. So there's that. Because I think Tumblr almost burned down when they tried to mitigate porn.
How dare you, sir?
Yeah, take my porn? How could you?
This is the internet.
How dare you? So yeah, I think Tumblr almost burned down when they did that. And for a little bit, they did have trouble because they had AI recognizing porn. And for the first couple days, everything basically was tagged as porn until people were like, no, this is not. Because you'd have to go into Tumblr, look at what they flagged of yours as porn, and you have to say no. And then the computer, through, knowing what is and isn't, gets to whittle it down. So there is like a grace period of figuring that out. So for a little bit, people were so furious with Tumblr. Now it seems like everything's okay. But anyway. It still misflags, but it's not nearly as bad as it was. Like, all of my Grigor pictures got flagged because it probably looks like a naked old woman. So I had to undo that, but it's like, I'm sorry, it's just a troll, man. It's not porn. Sorry to disappoint. I think I'm gonna take this down here. Yeah, I just forward to Tumblr, man. My main social media is Instagram, and then I just forward everything from Instagram to, everything else. Except for Twitter. You don't want to forward anything to Twitter because you really need to cater everything to Twitter, like, uniquely, because Twitter's so silly. And they have the character count, so you don't want to have like 1 million hashtags and have half of them cut off. So I only forward usually to Tumblr and Facebook because it retains it pretty good. And posting to Tumblr, like if you're just posting to Tumblr, is always a pain in the ass, so I would much rather just forward from Instagram because the way they have hashtags set up is crap. I hate what they do with that. Anyway, but yeah, Twitter especially you'll want to do separately because you'll want to put in like an image there. You'll want to put in, hashtags that are appropriate for Twitter because Instagram has their own hashtags. Instagood, Instaart. Those are all Instagram hashtags. So if you forward them to Twitter, they most likely won't be searched out as much. So it's kind of useless to have them and have them eat up your character count on Twitter. So there's that. Let's see, I'm trying to figure if there's anything else. Still trying to figure out what I did here with my lines. I think that's a grass blade. I think this wasn't supposed to be filled in. So I can always go back over my lines later, so if I'm going over my lines a little bit, I'm okay with that. Hi, David's Goliath, what's up? I forget, is this David, my friend James David? I forget if that's you or not. I forgot your name online. Yeah, okay. That's what I thought. I haven't talked to James in so long. It's been years. I saw he had a kid. Good for him. Yeah. Sniggle, you get it. Damn hashtags. David, do you go to Gen Con? By chance? Never been? Oh, you are a big tabletop guy, aren't you? I thought I remember you playing tabletop games. Maybe I'm wrong. I apologize. It's been a while. My dog is aggressively snoring. Ah, yeah. Trying to be. Yeah, you should totally go. It's so good. I was gonna ask if you were gonna be there this year or not. To wait till that dries more. You have a kid, don't you, Dave? How's she doing? I think I even remember her name, but I won't say for privacy reasons. I remember James always gushing about how cute she is. Two girls. Oh! Damn, I didn't know that. I won't be there this year. No, I didn't get in. I was there last year. It was great. My partner will be there, though. He will be at the Oni Press booth. Also, I like to say partner because saying boyfriend when I'm this old feels really weird. So, I'm gonna say partner. Because I do feel like once you get to a certain age and you're calling each other boyfriend and girlfriend, people are like, what? It really feels weird. Especially when you've been married once and it's like, you know what it feels like to call someone husband or wife, and it's like, oh, this is weird. But I don't necessarily want to get married, and neither does he, so it's like, whatever. It is what it is. So I say partner. Because we're also in a business together, technically, so it works. Works on so many levels. Wade'll be there. Wade knows what's up. Gen Con is the place to be. It is my best convention I have ever done. Nothing has even come close to topping it. It is such a good con for me. I mean, that's one of those things, too, when people ask, you know, what are the best cons to go to? It's like, it really depends on your art and what you do, you know? Because sometimes it's like, I do good at Gen Con, but I don't think Gabe would. I don't think his style is that demographic like mine is. So, like, you have to really find your people. And that's the hardest thing about being an internet artist or a professional artist, is finding your demographic, where they're at, where to go for them. How old am I? I look quite young. Mid-20s. Oh, yeah. Try almost mid-30s. I'm 33, man. You want to talk to people that look young but are old? Like I said, Gabe, he's 38. He looks like he's 25. It is messed up. Like, crazy messed up. Also, I have a lot of light on me. If I turned off some of these lights, you'd see a lot more of my wrinkles and my blemishes. But I have this on, though, for this side of the painting, because if it's not there, it's really dark. So, Gabe could be everybody's dad, except Wade. I don't think Gabe could be Wade's dad. He's actually a space wizard. I thought you said Pooey was a space wizard. No, and that wasn't rude. I like when people ask me questions. I honestly don't consider any question really rude as long as your intention's good, you know? So you guys ask me whatever you want. Whatever I'm doing, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't party, I get regular sleep, I exercise every day, I run about 7 miles every day. I do some strength training, not a whole lot. I should do more. But mainly it's I don't party. I try to stay away from stress and drama. A lot of stuff. I'm not a partier. I never have been. I hate drinking. It does nothing for me. I don't know. Lots of things. But yeah. But, honestly, if I could change any one of those things, it'd be, I wish I could get less sleep, because I want to be able to do more things, and I'm one of those people where if I don't get enough sleep, I'm kind of a bitch, and I really, I don't focus as well, and I'm just cranky all day, and my energy levels are low, even if I go work out. But it's like, if I could get less sleep so I could get more stuff done that I want to get done, that would be awesome. But that's kind of wishful thinking. I would need a lot more caffeine, and honestly, I've kicked caffeine for the most part. I maybe have a little bit every other day, and it's not very much. I also got rid of soda completely for the most part. Every once in a while, we kind of treat soda like we treat, or like some people treat alcohol, like it's a once in a while thing, like special occasions. But yeah, we're also vegetarians. That probably makes a difference too. Almost vegan. There's a couple things that keep us from being vegan for the moment. Stuff like cheese and eggs. Otherwise, yeah, we don't drink cow milk or anything like that. So yeah, there's a lot of things. So I guess thank you for thinking I look young, but there are a lot of factors for it. Gabe, come here. Okay, Here. Come here.
Oh.
Get in the frame. So Gabe's actually 38. Okay.
I stuck it.
But he also has the Mexican thing working for him, which is like good genes. But yeah, somebody's saying I would look in my mid-20s. Oh. No, actually, because I use the elliptical. I actually lost 50 pounds from doing just the elliptical a bunch of years ago. Not a bunch, but a couple years back. I lost like 50 pounds. I would just do the elliptical for every day, either 45 minutes to an hour. And then I was just doing an hour, which an hour equates to like 7 miles. But it is the elliptical. Otherwise, if I was running on a treadmill or on the road, yeah, my joints would suck, but it's all on the elliptical. So don't think you can't, because I don't hurt at all from running that much on elliptical, and I used to have really bad joints. But I also used to be really fat for my frame, so... Gabe could totes be your dad. Honestly, guys, if you just get on an elliptical and run for like an hour, seriously, it's like 7 miles. You don't even think about it.
Hell, if you even do it for like 20 minutes, like I do it for 20-ish minutes,
Yeah.
and you know, like I break out a good sweat.
Yeah, I mean, you got to do some cardio, even if you're doing some strength training, because it just helps get rid of the acids that build up in your muscles. If nothing else, see it as a cleaner, you
Or
know.
even if you just like go to the mall and
Just walk around. Do what the old people do.
Yeah.
I remember every time I'd go to work, I would see a bunch of old people lining up outside Target with their running shoes on. Honestly, they would just go there to walk. And I knew they were always in a group. But yeah, David, if you've got joint problems, do the elliptical. You get, honestly, the same workout. It's just, you know, like I said, I lost 50 pounds from it, and all I was doing was like an hour a day. Chase the old people with a sword? No.
Or, you know what's even smarter? Hang out with those old people, get to know them really well.
And take their money. No.
You don't even need to take their money. They'll just give it to you.
I mean, I don't want to say that's true, but it kind of is. Because I used to work for old people, and they did just give me money. That was one of the things when I was a waitress, remember? At the old folks' home, they always wanted to tip me, and we weren't allowed to take tips. You know, because we were just hourly, regular employees, whatever. But they always try to tip you, and you're like, no, Ethel, you keep that for bingo. It's like, no.
You know, in the next, like, 20 years, like, that'll probably go away. Because the culture, you know?
Oh, yeah. No, our people are going to be totally different. Yeah, so I always worked on Christmas, and I always worked on any holiday, like Thanksgiving, anything that was seen as kind of a family holiday. I would always work it at the nursing home. I had, like, 3 jobs at the nursing home. I was a receptionist, and I worked the food at 2 different buildings. And I made sure to always work on holidays because I knew there were old people that their family forgot them, and I could, like, sit down and hang out with them, you know, and I would. And I would stay after my shift, and I would stay there with them. Some of them like to do art, so I'd, like, sit in watercolor with them, you know, and just be there for them, because so many, you guys, I'm serious, they just sit by the window and they watch. Like, even if they know no one's coming, they will go watch because they think, oh, maybe they'll just surprise me. It is the saddest damn shit in the world. If you have a grandma or a grandpa in a nursing home, you go see them this weekend. I'm serious. You go visit them. You should feel bad if you don't visit them. But yeah, if you're like me and you grew up with a really shitty family and your own family sucks, don't try to project that onto other people. Instead, try to be the family that someone else maybe doesn't have. So, like I said, you know, go to a nursing home or something, play a card game with someone. Old people are not gross or bad or anything. Like, they get such a bad rap. And the ones that are angry, it's really interesting. The ones that are angry or mean, usually have the best stories because they are that way for a reason. So I would almost say, seek those ones out and see if they want to talk about it. So usually they just want to talk. Chancho, what are you doing? Is he bored?
Yeah, similar.
Maybe give him a chew? Maybe.
Get stuff. You can get stuff.
Are they all by Bruni though?
No.
Okay, so I was gonna say he might not venture over there. He makes such loud mouth noises. Cranky ones are the best. They totally can be. Northern old people. Yeah, honestly, Sniggle, you make a good point. I cannot speak for southern old people. I don't know how they are. I would assume there are probably more racists, because I was in Minnesota. Minnesota has a lot of nice people. I cannot speak to old people in, say, Alabama or, Tennessee or something. I don't know. You're on your own with that one. If you're down there, maybe, if you find a racist one, it's kind of too late, I guess, to change that. I don't know. Is he drinking water?
No.
Oh, damn it. One of our dogs doesn't like to drink water. Trying to get him to drink water. Oh no, Sniggle. That's right. You're in Missouri, so yeah, David, if you could, that'd be awesome, because James is one of my favorite people ever, and I'm kind of sad I lost touch with him. It's one of those things where it's like, you can't really just strike up a convo and just talk about, I don't know, nothing really. Like, we weren't that tight. It was like in passing, but I really respected him, and he was a great coworker. One of my favorites ever. So yeah, please tell him I said hi. That'd be wonderful. It's weird that now my coworker is my boyfriend. Like, Gabe is my coworker. We work in the same vicinity. The other day I was like, this does feel like a cube setup. Like, I feel like we're in an office, but it's like, I never leave the office, Freelance. Oh, really? You stream Tuesdays? What do you stream, games? Guessing. Yes, we have 2 dogs. You didn't know that? Co-boyfriend. I think that's something else. Oh, yeah, Riley. Oh my gosh. Come here, you. Butters, come here. Okay. Well, Wade, we have 3 dogs. Sorry, we have 3 dogs now. This one's Butters. She's a cutie. She's been through a lot of shit. And we got Bruni, and then we have Chancho. Chancho is to my right. He knows I'm saying his name, but he doesn't want to get up. But, yeah. Oh, thanks, David. There you go, Butter. Chancho, you want to come over here? Chancho hasn't been on the stream yet. So if anybody wants to look at all of them in better detail, the Instagram's Pom Pom Bully. Chancho, come here. Come here, Chancho. Let me show you people. Come on. Come here. Oh. And this is Chancho. He always looks really grumpy. He's got like this line right here that makes him look so mad. Here. Oh, and he's grumbling. He's got his little bow tie because he's business. I don't know if you can see it. This is Chancho. He's got good ears. He looks like a little Yoda guy. But yes, Chancho's good. He's a good little man. He's in love with Butters, but he's getting to know Bruni. He's not a fan of Bruni right now, but they're still fairly new. It'll eventually work out. I have faith. Yeah, he has attitude. It's okay though. But he's also like the biggest lover out of all of them. He is such a cuddler. Oh my god. And he'll just come up and just start rubbing himself on you. Oh my gosh. They're both like cats though, which is really weird. I've never had a pom before, and both of them are very cat-like, except when they get excited. Then they're very dog-like. But when they're in cuddle mode or like I'm doing my own thing mode, yeah. Oh, they're good. They're good ones. We lucked out. We wanted to, so since we got Bruni was from a breeder, a reputable one, not a, not a puppy mill. I get mad at the people that say adopt, don't shop, because you can shop smart. It's just most people don't, and they buy from somebody who's like in a puppy mill. It's like, well, if you know what you're doing, you can do it right. So we adopted the two, but we got Bruni from a breeder. And Butters was in a hoarding situation with like, I think it was 18 other dogs, something like that. It's a lot of other dogs. And she's like 7 years old, something like that. She's missing more than half her teeth. She had to get a bunch of tumors removed before she could be, I guess, passed down to adopters. And Chancho apparently was with a family that had him in a crate for like 10 hours a day, just because they worked. It wasn't really their fault, but once they realized how much they weren't spending time with him, they were actually really broken up, and they surrendered him because they wanted him to have a better life. So I actually applaud that family for understanding, hey, we actually really don't have proper time for this dog. Where if your dog is spending like 8 to 10 hours in a crate or alone, you probably want to rethink, why you have your dog, and ask yourself if that's, if that's good for them, if that's the life you want for them, And I mean, some people have the dog walkers and all that, but your dog really just wants you or someone to be there for them. So anyway, but yeah. Cloning is the true form of pet ownership. Yeah, so that's a good point, Sierra. So yeah, Butters does have PTSD in a lot of ways. Most notably is Thunder. And we think it's because, so she was kept in a trailer with all those other dogs, and like, apparently they were in rabbit cages, which is not an appropriate cage for a dog, obviously. And Gabe and I are thinking, since it's on such a much more detrimental level, it seems like, than just normal Thunder, we're thinking that, because she was in this really decrepit trailer, that maybe the Thunder like crashed way more and like shook it and stuff like that. So maybe that's what she's remembering. Apparently the woman that was collecting all these dogs was mentally ill. Okay, so it wasn't just a regular lady who's hoarding all these dogs. Apparently she had some mental issues. So I don't want to say that, obviously gets her off the docket here for being responsible for them. But it's a more understandable, I guess, reason. But she was getting apparently dogs off Craigslist and, just adding them to the pile. So Butters might have been one of those. And we just kept the name they gave her. I don't want people to think it's because of South Park, because it's not, but, so there's that. Yeah, they usually are. That's a good point. But yeah, and honestly, keeping a dog in a crate, you can crate train dogs, and that's okay if it's for a little bit. Like, we had originally crate trained Bruni, and it is a way to, like, train them to feel safe in their area, like to have their own room. You're teaching them, hey, this is your bedroom, and you can do that. But you shouldn't ever use it as punishment. You shouldn't ever use it to, like, keep them in there for extended amounts of time, obviously. Like, technically, the entire time we've had Bruni, which is, like, over 9 months now. She's 9 months old and, like, 60 pounds. It's crazy. Anyway, she was originally crate trained, and then now we don't have her crate trained just because, the other dogs aren't used to that, and I don't want to impose that on them. So for Bruni, we're just basically saying, she sleeps with us on the floor now, and the Poms sleep with us in the bed. But, yeah, crate training can be a good tool, but it shouldn't be a, well, I'm going away, I'm going to put my dog in here. My tape was coming up. Alright, what else do I want to do? Gabe, do you want to give me some feedback on this? I'm contemplating going a little bit darker, but like I said, I want to get your feedback first. And the foreground stuff. Did you come over here without your glasses, for real?
Thought I could see better. If I was gonna do anything, I would make like the ones that they're sitting on
Darker? Here's the problem.
and
See
make
this
them
one?
darker.
It goes behind this stuff.
Uh-huh.
So if I make this darker,
Or just do like a gradient of it. I think that's still okay for it to be darker. If not, make them darker.
no, because then I don't want them to be like, I don't know. Okay, I'll just go with it. Whatever.
Or just lighten some other parts.
I could just do this digitally too if I wanted to.
That's true.
Because I've got these really nice highlights and lowlights that have good walls. So I could just do this digitally instead of blurring it, but I
Just
think...
to see how it looks even.
Yeah, but I don't know if I want to do that right now. So I'm already doing this. I already started darkening it, so... Hi, Eliza! Oh, welcome. How you doing? So I have to put together my coloring book soon. I want to get my patron orders out first, and then I'm going to get to making that new coloring book because I was supposed to do that in June, and it's almost August. So that happened. You've been sick? Oh no, what do you have? What kind of paper? So for this new coloring book, it's not going to be as good as my other coloring book's paper. My other coloring book, I hand-picked that paper. I cut it, bind it all myself. So that one is meant for more watercolor and marker and more wet mediums. The new coloring book, it's meant to be kind of more for kids and less for adults, so it's gonna be, and it's a dark comedy kind of coloring book, so it may not even be like used for coloring. I don't know, it might be a joke book, but I'm gonna use it's technically a sketchbook paper. It's a Canson drawing paper. I think it's like 60 pound, so it's not terrible, it's not crap, it's not like computer paper. It's still like a sketchbook, but you probably can't use wet mediums on it, not like the other one. But yeah. Oh, you're on meds? That's good. Road to recovery. There you go. Yeah, Sierra, I definitely do. Yeah. They're all on my my Etsy. Here's the quick link to my Etsy. And that one is still kind of my pride and joy just because I really like that all the animals are playing instruments, and in some cases the instruments are even a reflection of the animal. So like the snail that's playing the tuba because it's curly. There's a bullfrog playing a bagpipe because of the, it just makes sense. So I really had fun with that one. But yeah, this next one is going to be a little bit darker. I don't know if anybody followed my mermaid, but my mermaid, I'm not big on mermaids in general, so I had to figure out a way for me to have fun drawing a bunch of mermaids. So I turned mermaids into the enemy, and that made it a lot more fun. So that's what that's going to be. And I already know right now it's going to be a hard sell for people. Because it's a mix of dark comedy, cute style, and sometimes a little bit too real. Like in terms of, like, this is actually really sad sort of stuff. Which, yeah, I don't know what to say about that really, other than it is that way. A couple of them are a little bit dark. Almost too dark. But I don't know. It's just part of what happened, I guess. And then half the proceeds of every book of that sold are going to go to a sea charity. So I've got a couple picked out. I think I'm going to alternate between donating to a sea cleanup one and a manatee one, because manatees are awesome. And there's this one manatee one that I've been following for a long time, and they do really, really good work. So that seems a bit better. I like that a bit more. People are going to be confused. Love it. Thank you, Eliza. I'm glad you have faith in me. Me too, Sierra. I mean, I'm guessing that's why you stuck around here. You feel how I do. I feel like critters are so much more pure and have better integrity than a lot of humans. So Butters here agrees. Butters, what's wrong? Oh, look at Bruni. She looks like a little nugget. You see her? Yeah?
Yeah.
Isn't she cute? So while you're painting, sometimes you can find more problems with your piece that you couldn't really see before, which is part of the good thing about painting. So in this case, I am going to go over all my lines again on this, just to pop them back out, because some have, ink over them and whatnot, but you can also see that, like, well, I should have probably increased the line width on the things in the foreground a bit more. I thought I did originally, but it looks like I actually matched the width of the lines on everything else around them, so when I go back through, that's also going to help these frontmost ones pop out more. I mean, obviously I'm like popping out the pieces right now that are further back too, but or rather setting them apart, but that'll further help the frontmost things come forward. Yeah. And this is going to be a print too. I really wanted this to be a nice, sweet, romantic one without being weird. There is a fine line with animal art to being weird, so I really try to not cross that. because I don't want to be creepy. I never want to be creepy with, like, when I'm doing this stuff. Like, if I'm trying to be creepy, that's different. But I usually don't want to be creepy when it comes to the animal art. So I think I'm gonna have to outline the tails too. So this is actually white ink as well. I know it probably looks like white paint, but it's actually white ink. It's an FW ink, which is a very smooth ink. As far as I can tell, it's the smoothest one I've ever used in terms of like an ink wash. There's a lot of other ones that like tend to block and just look clunky. This one is super smooth. It's really nice. Like when I do actual like wide solids with it, like flats, it looks real good. It's very flat. It's not too loud. And basically, so this whole piece, in terms of ink, the lines are actually black colored pencil. And then there's this. So the difference between white paint and white ink, I think, is the viscosity, basically, like the thickness. And obviously, I guess, what's in it. Because this is acrylic ink. So I guess, I mean, oh, it says you can put it in all these things. I never even noticed that. Gabe, do you know what else constitutes ink instead of paint? I think ink is definitely more permanent, obviously.
I think it's just the viscosity.
Like how thick it is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think also...
And its permanence, because gouache is, like, you can reconstitute gouache, and you can get it active again, to where you can pick it up, you can move it around, you know, blah, blah, blah. But they do have acrylic or acrylic gouache, which I think is like, if you took gouache and made it more like ink, so then it's not really gouache anymore. That one always confused me. Out of all the paints, acrylic gouache confuses me the most.
It's just the consistency and the light fastness, so it doesn't like...
And no clumping.
Yeah, it doesn't...
Yeah.
It's not going to... what's the word? It's
I think
not
that...
going to reconstitute.
Yeah, the reconstitution's a big one. I think also it has to do with matte or glossy. I think a lot of paint is glossy, whereas a lot of ink is matte. So if you see here, this is very matte, you know, but if I had, here, I can actually even show you. So I've got white gouache here. Okay, so Winsor Newton gouache. And if I put this even on any kind of paper, I'll use my test paper. I'll show you. This might actually still be pretty matte, but paint is usually a lot more glossy in general. Also, I feel like paint shows streaks a lot more than ink. So like the white ink, like I was saying, if I just block it out and just do a quick block of it, somehow what's the word I'm looking for? It smooths itself over and it equalizes. Whereas I feel like if it's paint, you see a lot of the strokes, and that's part of what people use the paint for. They like the strokes. But I think that might actually dry matte when it does dry. Definitely acrylic though will be this shiny when it dries. That's one of the reasons I don't use acrylic, is it's super shiny even when it's dry. So see that sheen there? That's what acrylic looks like when it's dry. So it's like, You'd have to use a varnish or something, I think, to get rid of that. But, yeah. So ink is very matte, which I really like. Yeah, I think I can just use... Yep. Okay. Oh, I totally forgot about that guy. Now there's this one part on the piece that's like, do I even dare go back here? Hopefully that doesn't stick out when it dries. Does that help, Eliza? So like I was saying, I think I'd increase the thickness here of the frontmost things to bring them forward even more. I also feel like it's easier to integrate ink into your drawn pieces rather than paint, because I feel like paint obviously has it's like attributes that stick out a lot more on a drawing than if it were ink. Mainly having to do with that viscosity and the like spectral highlights, so that that glossiness. So if you got something really glossy on a drawing, it's gonna be pretty like yeah, and already this is standing out a lot better. So there are parts of this that I could fine-tune with the ink, but since a lot of the areas are a little bit too tiny, or I want more control over them, I'm going to actually do that through the computer later on. This original will be sold though. Like, I will still sell this, it just won't be obviously to the level that the print will be. In terms of like you know, finalization. However, I feel like if you're somebody that buys originals, you know that, and you kind of get them for that reason. Like, I like originals, and even if the original doesn't look like the print version, I almost appreciate that, because it's like, then you really do have a one-of-a-kind. So, and then what's neat is now I still have the original line art of it. So if I wanted to make this like into a coloring book later on or something, I could. Or, you know, I can sell this to somebody to practice, but, you know. So this is the original line art. Then I scanned this in and played with the values to make sure that the printed version was the same. And then I printed out, and then on good paper. I printed it out on Arches watercolor paper. And then I inkwashed on it. So I really like how it turned out. Like, the smoothness in person is so much better than like using crappy watercolor paper. Because sometimes I use crappy watercolor paper just, you know, for practice and stuff. So when I actually go back to using really good stuff, oh my god, it makes a world of difference. But, I mean, I think it is smart though to use crappy stuff when you don't need to use the good stuff, obviously. Kind of happy just by nature that I don't do a ton of color in my pieces, because then I don't have to charge a lot for them either. I feel like if this was like full color, crazy stuff, whatever, it'd be a lot more expensive. But since it's not, as an original, I can, you know, obviously charge less for it, so that's nice. And since I don't use, you know, super crazy, like mediums. Oh, do you, Sierra? That's awesome. Kudos to you. Honestly, I stopped buying prints a long time ago because A, I don't put them up, B, you get too many. So like, why not instead invest in something once in a while that's, you know, helping other artists, making them feel really worthwhile by getting their originals, because those always make someone's heart flutter. but just because then it really earns the place on your wall. You know, it wasn't like it was $15, you can just throw it up with a thumbtack. It's like, no, you gotta frame this, you gotta treat this with respect, you put this up there, you know? It's very important. Because as far as I'm concerned, when you're taking an original off an artist's hand, you're adopting it. You know, you're saying, I'm gonna take care of this now. Because I love it so much. It's very similar to, you know, a pet. That sort of thing. Like, you're choosing to take it and be like, this, you know, this is my responsibility now. I'm gonna love it and dote on it, put it in a nice spot, give it a good frame, that sort of thing. So I always give an extra little speech at cons when someone buys one of my originals, because it does mean a lot to me. What's weird is when I get people that come up to me confused about originals. They're like, why would anyone buy these when they could just buy the print version? I'm like, well, I will explain it to you. And in my head, I'm like, but you're not going to understand it. Because it is a different demographic. There are people that just want the cheap version and that's it. And that's okay. That's the demographic, you know. I may not agree with them, but I cater to them, you know, because they still might want my art. They just might not be in a place to buy it, you know, at full price, and that's totally fine. So being able to actually cater to that is part of being an artist too. At least a professional artist where you're selling your work. Got to be cognizant of that. Butters, you want to come here? Come here, Butters. You miss Mama? Come here, baby. Oh, she barks at me when she's angry. Oh, I agree, Sierra. Yeah, I absolutely think that they have the energy that was originally there. And I started telling people, too, I'm like, as I'm doing the art, it's for me, but when it's done, it's for you or whoever wants it. Because really, at that point, hi, honey. Oh, at that point, oh, she's such a cuddler. I love her. Sorry, I got distracted. She's so cute. But yeah, then you give it away, because otherwise you're keeping and hoarding all this art you've made. Yeah, you learned from it, but when it's done, it's like you have to get rid of it. You have to give it away. Otherwise, what good is it doing you now? You know, because especially in the age where we can scan stuff, get rid of it. You know? Yeah, Sniggle, I did explain it to that guy in particular. There was a guy that was like almost mad, like, why are you selling originals when you've got your prints there? I'm like, well, okay, I kind of have to explain it to this guy. And he just still didn't seem to get it. You get different views of her, huh? See her nose? She has this cute little, like, I don't even know what color to call it. It's like a light brown mixed with mauve color. It's like a reddish brown, but really like light. Here, my camera's still blowing my face out of crazy colors. Put that there. Does that help? No, damn. Yeah, the white balance is crazy. Digital art is killing you? How come? Talk through your feelings, Eliza. It's important you know how to do it, but I totally understand if you're just like, You might be taking on too much too soon. You gotta kind of ease into it if you're super used to traditional art.
I feel like it's one of like those games, it's like you get a new game and it's like, there's so much to do in it.
Oh, she says it's because she's probably sick. That's true. Okay, so Eliza, if you're feeling ill and you can't be at like a desk, that is one of the worst places. Because even if you're not doing much, I actually looked this up once because I was like, if I'm sick, can I still work? You know, but apparently the whole reason they tell you to lie down and rest when you're sick is so your heart and your blood don't have to try as hard to get to certain parts of your body. Right? Because even if you're sitting here and you're not doing anything, you're just drawing, you're still not resting. Because your body, if it's level, it can get to places easier. So that's the whole idea behind that. So I would highly suggest going and laying down, especially if you are still sick. You gotta take it easy, because if you don't, it's going to be longer before you can actually get back to doing what you want to do. When you realize your body's constantly struggling to keep you alive. Basically. Right? On the daily? Mm-hmm. And that's, honestly, Eliza, that's going to happen, especially in the beginning, or if you can't ever fix it, it might always be there. Digital has a problem with always, in my opinion, looking lifeless. Even if a ton's going on, and I think this might be a mix of both experience, style, and just digital art in general. I think you have to try extra hard with digital to get something to actually appear full of life. But also, if it's, like, let's say you see something that was done for Spider-Man, the multiverse one, right? That has a lot of energy. That has a lot of life. But that is because of the colors, the perspective, the style. But if you're doing something that's like realistic art of any kind, you're going to have a lot more trouble actually injecting it with that kind of life. So I feel like that's kind of just the struggle with digital, to be honest. Yeah, and I agree, Serenity. For me, it was kind of my hinge too, as my old job used to just be digital art, and now I'm like so happy that it's not. But you still need to maintain that balance being an artist nowadays. So knowing, how to turn, since, I want to make this a print. How do I do that? I know Photoshop like the back of my hand, so I can do that. But a lot of artists that are traditional don't necessarily have that skill set, so they need to figure out how to do that, because nowadays you need that bridge to be able to be a successful artist. So it's hard. Hey Buggles, how you doing? Alright, Sniggle. Yeah, you started feeling guilty about being sedentary. I get it, man. That's another thing. So since Gabe and I go to the gym every morning, we're okay with sitting the rest of the day, because we know we've paid our dues in the morning, so we can kind of, if we're sitting the rest of the time, it's okay. But before I was working out, oh my god, I felt like really bad that I never did anything in terms of exercise. Exercise is so important for so many reasons. Yeah, I totally get that. Eliza, I'm loving your little chibi guys. Like all those little portraits you're doing for people. I think that's really dope. I think you're killing it with that. So if those are digital, you're doing a pretty good job. Don't get discouraged. You are still new at it. Always tell yourself that. Every time I get kind of down on myself about watercolor, Gabe's like, remember, you're still new at it. I'm like, oh yeah. I mean, I have done watercolors, but honestly, they don't amount in terms of quantity to much. Some of our friends get kind of irked with us because we like to put emphasis on quantity and not quality. But in reality, we do believe in both. It's just for anybody we're usually talking to that's more of an amateur artist or they're up and coming, they need to understand that in the beginning, quantity is so much more important than quality. You need to have more experience than anything. So doing more will eventually lead to quality. So like the fact that I still most of the time pump out art quantity, right? But nowadays, since I've been in the game for a while, I know when I actually sit down to do something quality, I know how to do that. And I know what the difference is between quality and not quality, right? But to get there, you have to, do the work to grind, to get the XP, to level up. So, oh, you're in Australia. God, I don't think I knew that. Well, thank you for even watching the VOD. I appreciate that. That makes me feel good that you still go back to watch them. Thank you. Honestly, Eliza, could it be your monitor? I mean, if you're using the colors you like, but they're not working or something, I don't know. Maybe keep doing it for a little bit, because if you have more to do, and then assess it and figure out, because maybe you can figure it out after a few of them. Well, obviously the backgrounds are blah or something else.
The thing with digital color is that
it's never very vibrant.
Well, you won't like it until you learn how to do it the way that you want to do it.
That's true too. You gotta inject yourself into it, and you have to find out first how to use it to be able to do that. So, I mean, you've messed with enough mediums to know how to approach one and how it goes over the month, right? Same thing. Digital's just another medium.
It's almost like trying to draw something that you've never drawn before, and you look at it and you're like, this is wrong. This is so wrong. I can't draw a horse. Same thing.
Is this personal experience, Gabe?
Yes.
You can't draw a horse? Yes, you can. Oh my god, I want to see you draw a horse.
Not out of memory.
Dude, horses are fun to draw.
It looks like a sausage.
I mean, if you think of Adventure Time, remember their horse. It didn't even look like a horse.
Yeah.
But, that was part of its charm. I was thinking of the Pooh Brain horse. But technically that wasn't even a horse.
Yeah.
It was an outfit.
And they look like a cow sometimes.
I liked that. I liked that horse. I got a pup in my lap. Look at this. There's a pup. She looks like a cat though most of the time. It's really funny. Hi. If I'm on a Friday night in Twitch instead of being in a bar or a party, am I a loser? No, you're cool in my book, and I think that should be more people's priority, is to be on Twitch on a Friday, because really, in the summer, Twitch is so dead, especially on a Friday. And obviously, I'm not at a bar. And I got a compliment earlier in my stream that I look like I'm mid-20s, and I'm not. And that's because I'm not at a bar ever. So I think not being at a bar is awesome. There's too much, what's it called? Pressure just to be... I read a whole article on this, wine moms and stuff. Like, wine moms, they get together just to drink wine and watch their kids play, apparently. Like, this is a thing, right? And they have a little group. It's like book club, but without books. But there's one mom that goes to this group, and she's like, I don't drink. And every time I tell them I don't drink, I have to, fight. Because people are like, just have one. Just drink. And they had said in the article at one point, alcohol is the only drug we have to have an excuse for. And I thought that was really insightful. Because it's like, if you say you don't smoke, it's like the person that asked you if you smoke, they feel bad usually. Right? But the drinking thing, it's like you have to be ready to combat Well, sometimes people give excuses. Oh, I gotta be somewhere. Or, oh, I've got a liver thing, blah, blah, blah. But if you're just like, I don't drink, then you look like you don't like to have fun or something.
Like at one point, I was starting to tell people that I was a recovering alcoholic.
Are you serious?
And then they'd be like, oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm like, I'm joking, but I don't drink. So.
Yeah, so why, I mean, if you get that sort of reaction, they should realize, oh, maybe this isn't a good, I don't get that. I know, I never get that. Like, you're pressuring them to have an alcoholic problem so that they come back later. Like, it's so weird. Anyway, it was a really good article. I was really happy I read it.
Or another one that I would say is like, I'm not spending $7 for like 4 ounces of
a beverage.
Water.
Well, if you think about it, though, we buy coffee sometimes.
Yeah, but
sometimes. But I mean, that's the worst.
Yeah.
And we don't do too much. But to millennials, not going to parties or bars on weekends is being a loser. I don't want to be a loser. Oh, why do you care so much what they think? You need to work more on that than anything. Worrying about what other people think. What did Gabe say? When, Wade? What did Gabe say when? With what? If anything, I would think millennials are pretty good about accepting anything anyone does.
Well, I feel like there's some millennials that.
Unless you're hanging around jocks.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up.
I mean, they still exist, but that doesn't sound like the type of people you want to be around, is my point. Like, you're not around the right kind of people if that's the problem. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm getting trolled. But still. Even if this is real, I should take it as such. Just in case.
Because there's somebody else out there that...
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, you guys, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't party, and I don't have regrets about any of that. I've been told I'm not fun, all that crap. I don't care. I'm drawing mice for fuck's sake, okay? Like, cute little mice. I'm not into, like, obviously partying, so...
I think also I forgot what it says.
That's cool. Everybody cares about what people think. Well, that's the other problem. So I talk a lot on here about why do you care so much about follows on Instagram. You're not supposed to. Don't do it. There's no point to feeling that way. If you have these hang-ups and these addictions, you need to, obviously break yourself of them. Right? Because you have to realize Instagram isn't all people. A lot of the time it's made-up accounts, it's bots, it's stuff you can't even deal with. Your profile gets in front of some people, doesn't get in front of other people. Is it up to you who it gets in front of? No. That's analytics, that's Instagram, that's numbers, that's robots. You don't have control over any of that. Once you realize that, you should just be posting to Instagram whatever you want to post and walk away and not care. And once you can actually believe in that, you're free, man. You'll feel way better. It sounds like you have actually a lot of things you need to break. Because, yeah, millennials do have this problem. Where they're, measuring their worth by all this shit that doesn't matter. That ticks me off. I didn't miss anything. I did a couple things in college, but it was like, eh. Oh, you can't hear Gabe's comments? I bet it's because of the banner. Next time he says something, I'll have him yell it. He is a mumbler, too. How old am I? I'm 33. So, I mean, if you're going to try and tell me, though, that, our times are so different, I get it. I'm not, untouched. I understand what times are now and what times were then. And in a sense, everything is always the same. If you think about it.
I would say 100%.
I'm technically a millennial. I'm on the edge. I'm that's very small. There's this really small group that's still called street kids. We were the ones where half of our childhood was analog and half was digital. So when I was 12, I was using AOL. But that's when it first came out with the dial-up and all that. But for the beginning of my life, I was, playing outside on the bike without computers. So we were part of that. I'm more mature. I'm going to blame my maturity, though, on my bad upbringing. I'm not going to blame it on my age at all. I've always been more mature. So I'm just going to put that out there. I'm probably not the typical person to talk to. I'm different in a lot of ways. So, I don't know.
You know what? Another upside to not drinking a lot or going to bars and smoking? You won't look like you're 50.
That's
when
the
you're
other
actually
thing.
30.
Gabe's 38, and he doesn't look like it because he never drank or smoked or anything. So, you know, you shouldn't feel bad about being healthier. In other words, think about it that way. Don't be scared of becoming 30. The only thing, honestly, I started feeling older when I was after 25. Someone told me things started to go downhill. I didn't believe them. I was like, nah, you know, I still exercise, I eat right, I don't party, I don't drink, blah, blah, blah. Like, when I go to the doctor, it's like, hell yeah, I'm doing everything right. It's cool. But who knows, I might be one of those people that gets cancer for whatever reason. But, you still have things that do happen to you. One of which, for me, I'm a vegetarian, I exercise well, I don't do any of those things I mentioned. And my metabolism's still slow. So I'm a little bit chunky still. But that's just because I'm getting older. My metabolism is slowing down. So even if I'm doing now what I used to do when I was 25, it's completely different. So as far as getting older, that's what I've noticed the most, is that your body does slow a bit. Just a bit. Yeah, according to my age, apparently I am a millennial, which is weird. And I always fight that when people try to tell me, oh, you're just a millennial, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, but there's a lot of things that make me not a millennial. Like, in terms of what people think a millennial is. Millennials aren't in their 20s. Dude, go look up what a millennial is. I was born in 86. Millennials, I think, go back to 81. It's either 81 or 83, I think. I forget which. But I am definitely considered one. What is it?
80 to 94.
1980 to 94. So yes, I'm a millennial. Gabe's technically a millennial and he's 38, so you can eat your hat.
At least that's what this one thing says.
I mean, it's around those numbers, which include us regardless, so.
I can technically be also Generation X, which I prefer Generation X because I was raised on the X-Men.
Okay, alright. Settle down over there.
Adamantium barrage.
Settle down.
Oh, there's also Generation Z,
Oh?
which I think is millennials.
Oh, is she licking her paw?
She
Can you
was.
give her a chew? Yeah, there's that, and that I don't understand. The kids that grew up with YouTube, I can't relate to that at all. I've gotten asked at conventions, I think because I look younger most of the time, I get people asking me, oh, what are your favorite YouTube channels, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I have no idea. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, that's the cutoff, I think, for me. And when I started realizing, like, when I started seeing fan art of YouTube channels, I was like, I don't understand something now. Okay, Mr. Soulcram, you're doing a bad job hiding your trolling at this point. Do you want to be part of the conversation? Because I'm a pretty nice person. I don't want to eventually have to ban you. I mean, obviously I'm doing traditional fantasy art, so... I mean, this is part of my brand. I don't know. You too, Sierra. Thanks so much for coming. So I usually stream on Fridays if you want to join up. Oh! Real quick, before anybody does anything. So, I'm gonna start hopefully streaming more random times too, but Fridays are always gonna be me here with you, face, whatever. However, in the future, I'm gonna start doing this, where it's gonna be just a little gif of me in the camera, so I can stream more often without having to show my face, because a lot of the time I do not want to look like this. I'm wearing makeup, I'm dressed up, I don't necessarily want to do that, so that'll make it so I can actually spend more time. So cool, Sierra. Oh, I like that you used a regular bee too. It's because I do traditional fantasy art and because I dress up like an elf at cons, and I want people who see me at conventions to also be able to see that product online as well. Am I married? Okay. Bye! I tried. What the hell does it matter if I'm married? What kind of a question is that nowadays? Shouldn't they be asking, are you involved in a relationship? Shouldn't that be the question? Somebody back me up with this. I was gonna get Chancho level snappy, yeah. The way Chancho snaps at Bruni, oh boy. I'm just asking. Typically I would have banned earlier, but he wasn't doing anything overtly bad, so I was like, eh. It's not, but I just think it's interesting that people say married versus are you involved with someone. That seems a lot safer, you know, and especially let's say you were approached by somebody who was genuinely curious and was interested in dating you. I think it's safer to say, even at my age, are you involved with someone? You know, instead of saying, are you married? Because then that puts me, specifically me, in a weird position. Because I used to be. So what do I say? I used to be? And then do I leave it at that, or do I then go into my whole thing of, I'm with someone now? Like, it's such a weird question. Like, I feel like you shouldn't ask people.
I think it's also intrusive.
It can be, definitely. Yeah.
This isn't okay, Cupid.
Yeah, well, it's just weird. I don't know. I think you did, Wade. I don't know. They were just asking weird questions that it's like, okay. It was one of those things where the questions are so weird, they were like commandeering the chat. It was like distracting and upsetting people. Like, as the streamer, I can kind of... Do you get this too, where you can feel like the mood of the chat?
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's really weird. Wade, do you get this too, where if the chat's getting like people are kind of backing off, can you feel that? Because I feel like I can feel that. When someone comes in, throws a wrench in the whole feels department, and like, even if it's not necessarily like offensive things, I feel like I can read that. I don't know. Anyway. Oh, Eliza, I'm with you. I could tell too, but here's my thing, okay? Unless they're saying either swears or vulgar stuff, I won't insta-ban. Mainly because I found a few people that I know now have either like slight mental disabilities or something, where they might not realize that their questions are weird or whatever. So that person, though, was different because they were well-spoken, but they were asking very off-color questions. So that didn't match up. But there are some people that I know of that come into the chat that I also know have some disabilities. So it's one of those things where you gotta, like, be cognizant of it and just be aware, you know? So...
I kind of get angry when people like, this is just me, but I get angry like when he first came in, or when they first came in, like saying like, am I a loser?
Oh yeah, I hate
Come on,
that.
man.
Yeah, immediately if there's self-deprecation, I'm already like at an 8. I'm gonna be like, nope, you're not staying here. You gotta pull back on that. And I'll usually warn them, be like, hey, it's not this type of stream. You know, you gotta get out of here if you can't, you know. I'm sorry if you've got a problem. You know, this is not the place to seek help. In the past, we've even given people like suicide helplines and stuff, and it's like, you know, you can't expect a chat room to be your psychologist, you know? So, as much as I want those people to be helped, we are not the people to help. Buggles, you're fine. Don't worry about it.
Buggles is a veteran.
Oh, Buggles, you have never tipped me off to being, like, too much or inappropriate or anything like that. You're fine. No, you're absolutely good.
If that was the case, I think Buggles would have been banned, like, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Buggles, you've been around forever.
Yeah, Buggles, no. I mean, you're more than fine. Okay. All the pets are snoozing right now. Snoozy pets.
Except for one of them.
Oh, is Bruni crying now?
Yeah,
Oh.
probably time for her to...
Oh, she needs food. Well, wait, it's 7. I guess I could stop. This is at a pretty good stopping point, actually. Alright, before we go, does anybody have any questions on anything? Like I said, I am going to try to start streaming more randomly, using that little GIF I made. Mushy, you hungry?
Is Wade streaming?
Wait, are you streaming or gonna be? Yes, line art for digital art, Clip Studio. You know this. You know this. Oh, she is so hungry. I'll get to you, honey. Hold on. We're gonna stop and I'll feed you. I know. I know. Weird. How can that person follow me if I ban them? I don't understand. Soon, Mushy. Is black a bad choice? No. No. Line art's different than actual coloring. Coloring with black, like as a shadow or like when you're rendering with black, you usually don't want to do it because nothing in nature is that way, but as a line art tool, I mean, I'm doing it. This is black. It's fine. Line art is probably one of the only things that can, you know, be black for line art. But I mean, what you can do is just kind of play around with it too. So other things in the past I've done, let me see if I can actually show you. Okay, so that's got black line art. But I mean, what you can do is, if you want it to look softer, take your line art, hopefully it's on its own layer. When you go back over to Photoshop, put a mask over, or sorry, a clipping mask over it. Okay. Actually, I could probably just show you. Yeah, I'll just show you. We're gonna switch over to digital real quick. Digital. I always sound drunk when I say the word digital, because I'm just like digital. Let me move all this stuff because I gotta bring over my. Give me a sec. Okay. I'm gonna show you Liza. Liza, you gonna pay attention real quick? Here's my nasty 2008 Cintiq. Everybody's like, oh, you got a Cintiq. I'm like, yeah, from 2008. Okay. So, let me think. I'll go grab some line art somewhere. Okay, it is on its own layer, right? You said yes? So, let's say I need to find a file real quick. That would be good for this. Gabe, do you want to try to feed her? This will be your first run.
I don't need that. No.
I mean, you're gonna have to do this when I'm not here.
No, I know, but I think, like, I don't know what.
It's in the upper right.
Yeah, I see some chicken and a little
Okay, good. Take those out. There should be rice too. You see it?
Yeah.
Okay, so you got those 3?
Yeah, but there's like the serving is for.
No, I know.
Okay.
And then go into the freezer and find the peas. It might be a new bag. Oh my god, this is taking forever. Okay. Oh, this is a good example. Okay, Eliza. So, let's see. These were after I started coloring it. So these are all my different line arts for that example. So, okay. Alright, so you have the filler layer, right? This one. You've got the fill. And then you've got, let's say this was your line art layer, right? And it's on its own thing. Add a layer above that layer. See, this one? Right click it. Go to create clipping mask. Okay, it's a clipping mask. Select that. And then I'm going to go over here, right? I'm going to eyedrop.
Here's a summary of Fear Trump in the White House by Bob Woodward.
No!
Bob Woodward
Alexa,
reveals an
no!
unprecedented
Alexa,
detailed
stop.
hair.
I didn't even say it. I didn't even say it. Thank God she's full of ghosts. Okay, back to what I was saying. Rude, Alexa. Stop. Okay. So you eyedrop it, right? So you can get that color down there. Then you go into the color picker and you pick a darker color. Okay? You pick a darker color, and then you go back here, and then this is to make your black lines look softer, if you want it to look softer. And then you just go like this, and you just color it in. And usually what I'll do is, like, I'll do it to a certain point until I reach another color. Right? So you do this, right? And like, let's say then we get to the ear, and we do the same thing with the ear. Right? Chancho, come here. Right? And then you can just go back and forth eyedropping. See? So this makes it a lot easier to make your stuff look, I mean, at least cooler. And then if you want, this is also a cool way to do lighting, if you want. Oh my god, stop him. Put him outside. Something. Okay, so let's say, okay, we'll use this as an example here. So I'm gonna actually crop this so we're not, I guess, focusing on anything except this area. Okay. So, this can also aid, like I said, if you're gonna be doing more intense, like, lighting. So you can make another clipping mask here that's just on the flats. And then at this point, what I usually do is I'll do a darker color of this, right? But not as dark as the hair line, this new line we made. And you can always make these darker too, just by selecting that layer and making them a little bit darker, but not quite black. So then I go here and I'll select just the yellow spots, right? And then I always expand it a little bit so that it goes up underneath the line so you don't get that white line between stuff. And then, like, let's say you were doing some, yeah, some lighting like that, right? And maybe the clovers here have some too. Okay, so let's say the light's to the upper left. And then I drop, make it darker but not too dark, right? There you go. So there's something like that. So then if you want your lines to actually also do that with, you know, with the lighting, you could add like a gradient to it so the lines actually have that lighting applied to it too. Then you can use all these different filters on it if you want. Like, there's a lot you can do then to make it look different. So if you're tired of doing just regular black line art, you can totally do it this way. And usually this is how I like to do my animations and stuff, but for this recent one I really rushed it, so it is just all black line art. And my intro one, obviously, all black line art, but typically I like to do it this way, just because it is softer, it fits this style a lot better. So yeah, if you're looking to do that for your little guys, you totally can. Another thing some people do is they kind of do the opposite, where they make it even lighter. So some people even, will make it lighter, they'll turn it colors, and they'll have that, like, work with it. I don't have a good example, I don't think. Maybe I do. Hold on, let me see if this person I'm thinking of. They're on my Instagram. Oh my god. Give me a second. Okay. So there's a couple people I'm thinking of that do it different. So these people are on Instagram. So this person is Frumpy Fruffles. Or Fluffles. Oh, I'm so sorry. So it's Frumpy Fluffles. They will sometimes do their line art with different colors or, other things like that. There is... it starts with an M. I always forget it. It's Maruk. Also, does anybody know where to find your liked images? Again, not your saved images, but your liked ones, because I can't seem to find those anymore. Like, they used to have a section that says liked, and you could click that and go look at it, but I haven't been able to find that in forever. I mean, I technically did it for my Clover Pip pin. Oh, here's an example. Eliza, I'll send you this one personally on Instagram. Yeah. So like my Wickle, a lot of my, my Thistle at the bottom, down there. He's got that same thing too. So, I mean, you can do a lot with it, which is the nice thing. Oh man, someone bought a bunch from me on Etsy. Hell yeah. Never? It used to be like where you had your save stuff. It like showed your activity of what you've liked in the past. It was a long time ago though, so I don't even know. Yeah, so Eliza, if you have any questions like that one, feel free to ask us, because there are really simple answers. Like I said, like the clipping mask. Once you figure out how to use clipping masks and smart objects, like your life digitally like explodes, and regular masks, which are down here at the bottom. You probably can't see it, but it's hold on. So this button, look into that button too. I think it's just called the quick mask. Look that up. Is good. Otherwise, any other questions? That's a great question, Eliza. I love it. I love when you guys ask me questions. I do. I love questions. Oh man, my little ones you do. Oh yeah. Totally, right? And I mean, anything you can do to regular art, you can do to line art. You can make it beveled, you can make it have gradients, anything. As long as you realize that, sky's the limit. So I didn't expect to actually finish that entire piece. Who knew? So I guess I'm gonna try to stream more, like I said. It's just the whole reason I wasn't streaming as much before is I gotta like doll up to have my face on here. But now that I have like this, and I can just have that up. I mean, it goes against what I say when you should be streaming, showing your face and stuff, but as long as I still have one day a week that I show my face, I think I'll be okay. So, there's that. Oh yeah, my manatee. Don't look at my files, I don't know what's there. Okay, so do you already know what your next project will be? Oh, my next project. Whoa. Serenity, what do you mean by project? Like, is there a specific... I have so many projects. Like, do you just mean to stream, or what do you mean? Because like I said, I have so many projects. I have big goals, I have small goals. It's hard to, know what I'm doing next. A lot of these are the same. Either bigger art project or commission. Well, in the short term, I have to get the mermaid book made, because I gotta bring that to Dragon Con, because I'm actually running out of my normal books, which is a problem because we don't necessarily have the money to make new books right now, because that's usually a big money sink. So if I run out of those books, and I have conventions to go to, I have to kind of fill them with other product, because you have to kind of, you have to make your convention time worthwhile. So that's a little bit of pressure. But yeah, like I said, in the short term, I gotta make the mermaid book. I'm gonna make this into a print. What else? I'm trying to get the Patreon stuff out, because I really wish I could just dig my heels into Patreon. Eventually, like, my dream, technically, is to start working on my stories, because I have 3 in the next year I want to put out, but the problem is, when you get to this point where you're freelance, you have to, make money as well as make product. So, which is hard, because a lot of the time, the money, or what you're making money with, isn't the same thing, unless you're blessed and have, 200,000 some followers or something. But I have to do technically work on the side to get the money to be able to, afford myself the time to do the things I want to do, which is funny because that's the whole reason I went freelance, is I wanted to have the time to work on my stories and stuff, but in reality I actually lost time. I probably would have had a better chance at finishing them when I had a full-time job, now that I know what I know. But anyway, so yeah, honestly, the stories, I want to do my Raspberry Mouse story first. That one's already written, thumbnailed. I just have to actually sit down and do it. And then Hazel. I wanted to do Hazel. So that's coming. But yeah, I have a lot of stuff I gotta do. I gotta do another Pet and Armor book at some point. That takes a lot of time, and it takes money, because I have to get that one actually made too by a company. But if you don't have money and you don't use Kickstarter, because I'm technically not big enough to use Kickstarter for certain things. I could probably use it for a short run of a book, but even then, you don't want to just assume it'll happen. Anyway, when you color your flats, do you just vary your colors right then and there, or just like a single color and then... So that depends on what style I'm doing, Eliza. So, like if I want more of a jelly style or a cell shaded style, I keep the flat, I have a highlight layer above that, and then I have a cell shaded shadow layer above that. And then I just go with those 3 shades basically. But if I'm painting, sometimes I'll paint directly on the flats. But it's been a long time since I've done that, because that's not really my style. So I usually use a lot of gradients. Like if you look at, I guess a good example of, like I said, it depends on the style, but my mobile game style is very much flats with gradients and highlights and shadows. So like, if you look at the simplicity of this, and I kind of apply this also to some, I guess, some traditional stuff too, but it's a lot harder with markers. You can kind of do the same thing, but it's still a little bit different, but I'd have to show you. Next stream, ask me, and I should be able to show you. Anyway. Okay, I'm gonna go. I need to eat. So, like I said, hopefully I'll be on more. Yeah, he is my derp shark. He's the first villain in the game, so I wanted him very simple. Anyway, thank you guys for coming. I hope you had fun. Thanks for sticking around. Please be sure to check out my Patreon. I'll throw my my socials here in. Yep. And then, let's see. Like I said, I'll try to stream more often just randomly, sometimes early, sometimes later, whatever I'm working on. I'll try to include you guys. It'll just be without a cam. So, hopefully that's okay. Anyway, you guys have a good weekend, okay? If I don't talk to you, have a good one, and I'll see you next week, okay? Bye!